San Diego, it's time to fire it up. From the beaches to the ballparks, from the Gaslamp to North County, no one knows America's finest city like he does.
You can't just punt on a Manny Machado prime year.
He's a fourth-generation San Diegan, born and raised in the heart of this community. Passionate, opinionated, and always bringing you the real talk on your teams, your city, and everything in between.
Braden totally knows his stuff. He's ready for the next step. That guy is good.
Live and local, it's the Braden Surprenant Show.
But I think Braden's one of the up-and-coming young stars in the media game in San Diego.
Now, here's your host, Braden Surprenant.
What's up, San Diego? And a happy Tuesday to everybody out there in America's finest city. I'm Braden Surprenant. He's Frank Marchese. We are the Braden Surprenant Show. We are usually on from 10 to 2 each and every day on San Diego's #1 sports station 97.3 The Fan. Filling in for Ben and Woods this morning as the boys got a little sick over the during the week in Arizona that they had, or the weekend in Arizona that they had the week prior. Flu's been going around, and then hopefully they're back tomorrow. So they're out sick, and so Frank and I are filling in today for Ben and Woods, and then continued in the 10 o'clock hour for the Braden Surprenant Show. Now, we got a lot to get to today in terms of what happened over the weekend. Again, it's kind of weird saying on a Tuesday, but it's after a holiday weekend. Hopefully everybody had a good holiday weekend. We had beautiful weather out here in America's finest city for the Martin Luther King Jr. Holiday weekend, and we had a great national championship last night. We had a great NFL football over the weekend on Saturday and Sunday. Aztecs basketball was a thriller at Viejas as the Aztecs now sit alone in first place in the Mountain West Conference. So that's going to be something we're talking about later on in the show. The entire second hour is usually our Padres hour on the Braden Surprenant Show. We got a lot to get to in Major League Baseball. Top 7 free agents left on the hot stove. We'll talk a little bit about what AJ Cassavell answered on his Ask Me Anything on Reddit last Friday. Some interesting details about the Padres. Later on, we'll get into the NFL, talk about the NFL weekend. We'll talk about the coaching hires, coaching firings that happened over the weekend as well. Get to the Aztecs as mentioned, and should be a fun show. Fully packed, ready to go here on the Braden Surprenant Show. Also on us filling in for Ben and Woods. So appreciate you guys letting us fill in for Ben and Woods this morning. We're up early, up and at 'em. Frank and I met yesterday, did some show meetings yesterday in the afternoon. Didn't probably think we were going to be up this early the next day, Frank.
No, definitely did not, but it's fun to be able to come on this early in the morning every now and again. Gets a little tiring after a while when you're not used to it.
Yeah, Woods always has that saying. It's like, it's one thing to come in once and do it, but then do it again, and do it again, and then 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 talk to me. And I agree with that. I agree with that standpoint a lot of the times. Now, the morning show, it's definitely like that. I will say, like, after, there's been a couple of times where I've done morning shows for like 3 or 4 days straight. By day 3 or 4, I'm starting to get into a little bit of a routine. Starting to be a little bit of a routine. So, some of you guys, are you guys doing an 8-hour show?
Yes.
Radio magic. Radio magic.
We are. As a matter of fact, hours 4 through 8 are going to be word for word the same as hours 1 through 4.
It's fun. It's interesting what AI can do. It's going to just track everything that we say into a script, and then we're going to reread the script at this point in time. So right now, I'm saying this at 6:04 live, but then I'm also saying it again at 10:04. So that's where we're going to be at today with the 8-hour show. Now, we did this before, and I think it was leading into a break, like some type of break or some type of holiday. We got to go back tomorrow, so it's not like we get this into a holiday anymore. All right, let's talk about last night. Let's talk about last night's college football game. It was a great football game, I thought, from top to bottom. And here's the thing. We're going to talk the ins and outs of the Indiana-Miami game and what made it special. But at the same time, this like confirms why I've been such a proponent for expanding the playoff from the get-go. You had the 10 seed in the playoff, the Miami Hurricanes, going toe-to-toe with the number 1 seed, the Indiana Hoosiers, in the national title game. You have seen the balance of power start to shift a little bit in college football. It's the 3rd season in a row where the SEC did not compete for a national championship. 3rd season in a row that the SEC wasn't even in the national championship game. Now, the Big Ten has now won the last 3 national championships, but there's a couple of things that could be said about last night's game. One, you had a traditional, old school blue blood of college football, the Miami Hurricanes, and they came in as a 10 seed, and they had a lot of talent. They come from the ACC, who has been one of the neglected Power 4 or Autonomous 4 conferences. And I thought they played a heck of a game last night against Indiana. I mean, they gave Indiana one of their toughest battles that they have had the entire playoffs. I mean, Indiana has just absolutely steamrolled through their opponents in the college football playoff. Miami punched them back a little bit last night. And what I loved about last night's game is you got 2 new faces in college football. Haven't seen Miami since 2001. Have never seen Indiana. We'll get to them in a second. And they were competing for a national title. New teams. Look, I'm not a big proponent of NIL. I think it's gotten out of hand. I think it's really been out of hand since the get-go. But I tell you what about NIL and the transfer portal. If you spend the money on the right coaches and you bring in the right players, you can flip your entire program's history around in just 2 seasons. I mean, Indiana, for the majority of their program history, has been arguably the worst program in college football. One of the worst, if not the worst program in college football. Indiana was 9-27 over 3 seasons before Kurt Cignetti took over. They went 27-2 the last 2 seasons under Cignetti. We are talking about an Indiana program that started in 1899 that has now won 6 total bowl wins in program history. You ready for the dates of these bowl wins?
Go for it.
December 21st, 1979 was their first bowl win that Indiana has had. December 28th, 1988, December 31st, 1991, and then 3 bowl wins in 2026. January 1st, 2026, January 9th, 2026, January 19th, 2026. The Hoosiers have won as many bowl games in the last 19 days as they had in the previous 125 years combined. This is possible with the expansion of the college football playoff. So I keep talking about it. Expand the playoff. Expand, as the kids say, expand the playoff. Now, I think there's a cap. 24 teams is the most I would ever do. But with expanding the college football playoff, there are now other schools that have a chance, and now players go, I can win here. I can go here and win. I can go here and win. I got a clear path to be on the biggest stage in college football. And Indiana and Miami have started to pave that way. You didn't have to see Georgia or Alabama or Clemson or Ohio State or some of the original 4 teams that continue to pop up in the college football playoff. I mean, you had a 2-star quarterback in Mendoza who, coming out of high school, Fernando Mendoza was a 2-star athlete coming out of the Miami area as a high school kid. And he just led the worst college football program in the history of college football to an undefeated national championship season against the University of Miami in the final, a school where his mom played tennis at, a school where his dad won a national championship in crew at, a school that did not recruit Fernando Mendoza. And he was able to beat Miami, the place his parents went to college, the place that he grew up rooting for, and he got to beat him in his hometown. to cap off a 16-0 season, some of which people have said, including Steve Sarkisian at Texas, would never be possible, and defied a lot of people's predictions of what should be happening in college football. I mean, if you're just tuning into us for the first time, we're on from 10 to 2 every day. We like to call people win socks, and we're going to have a win sock of the day coming up very shortly. Early nomination for win sock of the day, anybody that Freezing Cold Takes tweeted last night, because it was unbelievable. Freezing Cold Takes on Twitter last night was unbelievable. The one from Colin Cowherd was hilarious, but just, it was all over the place. They had one from Barstool Sports that was back in November 23rd, 2024. From the desk of Barstool Tate, Kirk Cignetti is exactly who I said he was, an FCS merchant and a fraud. Wow, how'd that work out for him? The best is the Colin Cowherd one. Colin Cowherd tweeted on December 20th, 2024, after Indiana got blown out by Notre Dame in the college football playoff last year. The entire playoff is experimental. Things will change. Potential reseeding after round one. It may expand to 14 games. Change is inevitable, but let's make one non-negotiable rule. Indiana can never be invited again. Give me a break. Give me a break. This is what's great about college football. Everything about last night was what's great about college football. Everything about last night is what's great about sports. This is why you love sports. You don't love sports because of like guys getting paid a ton of money. You don't love sports because of, super contracts and super teams at professional level. These are the stories that make you love sports. A kid whose parents both played athletics at Miami, who was overlooked leaving the Miami area to go to college, who transferred around, found his way to Indiana, not just become probably the biggest cult figure in Indiana football history, but to take the Indiana Hoosiers, who have never won anything, down to his hometown of Miami and beat his childhood team in the national championship, a school that didn't want him. That's what you love about sports. And by the way, he did it by putting the team on his back on what was such a spectacular touchdown run for a kid that would not be denied. That's why he won the Heisman Trophy. He didn't win the Heisman Trophy because he's the best player in college football. He won the Heisman Trophy because he had the most grit and desire in college football. We'll see what Mendoza turns into when he goes to the next level. There's not a lot of great quarterbacks in this year's draft because a lot of them are staying in college. It's a tough draft. You need a quarterback. I think Fernando Mendoza is a great story. I think he's a phenomenal college player. I don't necessarily know it translates to the NFL, but you know what? It doesn't really matter. You got that big story that you wanted last night. That was a heck of a win by the Indiana Hoosiers that we're going to break down here in the first hour. What a great game from the get-go. We'll talk more about it, but Frank, watching that game last night, that is why you expand the college football playoff. That is why people love college sports. We finally got a very entertaining game. I know there's a lot of things that need to be fixed in college football, but I tell you what, last night's game was like a vintage look at what college football used to be.
Yeah, and it was also a dynamic that you're not used to seeing. You're used to seeing, as you mentioned, the powerhouse blue blood program on top and working to try to try to kick back the newcomer, but it was the other way around. You had the blue blood fighting from underneath to try to topple this newcomer that has come around and has become so dominant. And a 16-0 season from Indiana. 16-0 is hard to do, period. Having an undefeated season is hard to do. But from a program like Indiana, who has been nothing but the butt of the joke when it comes to football in the Big Ten for much of its history, for them to come out and have a perfect 16-0 season, absolutely huge for them. Congratulations to Indiana. I know a couple of I know a couple people who went to Purdue that aren't too happy about Indiana's success right now. But other than that, I mean, this is an unbelievable story. And of course, you see clips of Kurt Signetti's introductory press conference at Indiana flying all over the place last night.
Google him. He wins. How are you going to recruit players to Indiana? I win.
Google me.
Google me. That had to be the most arrogant thing ever. I mean, I've heard coaches that have heard this guy at coaching clinics. The guy's incredibly arrogant sometimes. But I tell you what, he backed it up.
Yep.
As soon as he said he has lost 2 games since he has had that introductory press conference. He lost to Ohio State on the road, and he lost to Notre Dame on the road in the playoffs last year. And Notre Dame went to the national title game, and Ohio State won the national title last year. And then they go 16-0 this year and win the national title themselves. It's pretty remarkable. And it's a pretty cool story. Now, there was some money involved, obviously, with the transfer portal and NIL and all that stuff. But I tell you what, that Indiana team had a lot of James Madison players on it that played for Signetti at James Madison. It had a lot of 2-star, 3-star kids coming out of high school. It was a lot of veteran presence, older players that went out there and dominated a lot of 4- and 5-star players.
I think they said at the very beginning of the broadcast that Indiana's average age was like 24.
Yeah, they were older. They had a veteran experience. I mean, that goes a long way. That goes a long way in not only athletics, but just in anything. I mean, just think about how much stronger you were as a 26-year-old compared to like being an 18-year-old, 24-year-old, even a 24-year-old just to a 20-year-old. I mean, this is way different. How about Notre Dame? I mean, they haven't won a national championship in how many years now? And yet Indiana just went down there and won it in 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Oregon's got to be pissed. Phil Knight has been trying to buy a championship for the last 20 years. Indiana rolls in with Mark Cuban 2 years in. Bang, national champions, undefeated.
It's not about spending the most money. It's about getting the right players for that money. And that's what Indiana's been able to do better than anyone else so far.
Like Jimmy Johnson used to say, it's not the draft picks, it's what you do with the draft picks. That's exactly what Indiana has done. When we come back, we're going to talk this game through about what we saw out of the national championship game, what a game it was. We're going to talk about the Padres in the next hour as well. We do have some Padres things that we want to get to, as well as Major League Baseball. We got a lot rolling for you on a Tuesday. Braden Surprenant Show. Filling in for Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Here's a look at traffic. Braden Surprenant, Frank Marchese filling in for Bennett Woods here on a little chilly Tuesday morning. Up early. We're going to be moving around throughout the entire day here on 97.3 The Fan. We're talking about the national championship game last night. We talked about the big reasons why this is good, I think, for college football. Haven't really talked about the game too much. That was an exciting game last night. I thought Indiana dominated the line of scrimmage at the beginning part of the game. Near the middle to the end, I thought Miami started to really get creative with their offense and creating opportunities where they didn't have to try to run between the tackles. I mean, the big 57-yard touchdown run by Miami to make it a ball game, they sealed the edge, or they were able to scoop the edge and then get the one move that that Fletcher needed for Miami to get back into the game. I thought they were doing a really good job of mixing in screens. I thought they were doing a good job with misdirection in the second half. And I thought Miami really battled back for what looked like a very dominating performance by the Indiana offense and defensive lines, who were outsized by Miami. I mean, if you look at the overall tail of the tape, right, that you do as a fighter before any type of UFC event, Miami had the wingspan, they had the height, they had the weight, but Indiana had the age, Frank, and they dominated the trenches for most of that ball game.
Yeah, and it also showed, especially towards the end of that game, Malachi Toney, true freshman for Miami, is going to be a problem. He's going to be a problem for quite a while. He is a really, really good electric player. And if you look at that fourth quarter, I mean, they were going back and forth. They were taking shots at each other back and forth. But the big thing that won Indiana that game was that long 5-minute drive that they had. They took so much time off that clock and got a field goal out of it. They got points out of it, made sure Miami couldn't just kick a field goal. That's where they win that game. It was so close, so good for the entirety of that game. But that 5-minute drive that they had at the very end that made it the final score that it was, put all of the pressure back on Carson Beck, put all of the pressure back on Miami to go out there and not just score, but score a touchdown. That's where they win that game.
They did a good job early in the game, too, to put a long drive together as well, where they were, making a early where they're hanging on to the ball. I mean, they had their one of their first or second drive. They were just moving the ball down the field. It took up a big chunk of time. That first half blew by in last night's game. From a special teams perspective, as a special teams coordinator, got super hyped on the blocked punt for a touchdown. There's just too many teams, and I could get into the ins and outs of it. I could have a clinic on this if I wanted to. There's too many teams that get way too away from why the shield punt works. Like, they try to get, I think they outcoach themselves a lot of times. So the shield punt is the one that's got the 3 personal protectors in the back, right? Mm-hmm. So the idea of the shield punt is you get guys downfield fast, because in college and high school football, you're allowed to go before the ball is kicked. In the NFL, you got to wait for the ball to be punted before you can leave. So that's why they do like the traditional punt with the wings and the gunners, and they shuffle back and they punch and they go. Because some people are like, I don't know, we had a punt for 70 years that had protection, and now all of a sudden we're trying to change things. Well, no. Most NFL teams would run the college punts that they run if it was legal in the NFL, but it's not legal in the NFL. So the shield punt that you saw last night that's run by everybody in college football, the idea is your 6 guys in the line of scrimmage, not including the long snapper, or 7 guys in the line of scrimmage with the long snapper. Everybody that wasn't, it's not long snapper snaps and goes. The 3 guys on either side fan out. You want to rip through the outside shoulder of anybody head up you, or head up you to outside shade, or anybody out head up you or outside shade your neighbor. Because what you're trying to do, you're just trying to chip them, because the wider when you go wide like that, it eliminates their ability to get to the punt. It's impossible speed-wise. Like anybody on the outside, in order to block a punt on a shield punt, they have to run under a 4-second 40 to get there, which is physically impossible. You let the Guys in the middle go middle. That's what the little shield's for. You kick behind the shield. You got 7 dudes down the field already. If they go after a blitz, that's the whole point of the shield block. Last night, Miami started to flex guys out. And when you flex guys out, which you see a lot of colleges do, the risk is now all of a sudden you have a tighter path to the ball if you are a defender. What does a tighter path to the ball mean, Frank? It means you don't need to run a under 4-second 40 to potentially block the punt. And so if you look at the block punt from last night, the player on the line of scrimmage was supposed to scoop, what we call scoop block, or rip through the outside shoulder of the Indiana defender. He doesn't. He gets the inside of him. So he doesn't chip the guy enough where he knocks him off his path or stalls him out. So now he's got a clear path. And then the personal protector, as what we call shield guys, he hits him on the outside and lets him go. That was the easiest block punt you're ever going to have. There's a lot of times when you run punt block that when you're trying to block the punt, you don't get there. But sometimes when you set up your returns, you make it through. And Kamara goes right through and he does the perfect. It was executed perfectly. When you come in tight like that, you want to go one hand inside, place your hand on the football. You're going to block it. You watch Kamara, one hand inside, place hand on football. He blocks the punt. If he tries to dive in front, he tries to put 2 hands from that angle, he's going to blow up the punter, and it's going to be a roughing the punter, roughing the kicker penalty. That was executed perfectly by Indiana. And I tell you what, in championship football games and in playoff football games, it's all 3 phases. And Indiana won the special teams battle last night. That was a huge swing. When you block a kick, and if you block a punt or a kick in football, especially if you take it to the house, your chances of winning increase by like 80%. It's something crazy. Like, it's very rare where a team blocks a punt for a touchdown and does not win that game. That was a big momentum shift at that point in time. That was a huge play for Indiana. And that, honestly, I think was a major difference maker in the contest against Miami. I thought Indiana outcoached Miami the entire ball game last night. You look at the numbers. You look at we're just talking about the tail of the tape, right? It was mentioned in a couple ESPN articles. Miami had 45 4 or 5-star players. Indiana had 8 4 or 5-star players. 45 to 8. I'm telling you, the blocked punt was huge. You got the game-sealing interception by Jamari Sharp with 44 seconds left, also a Miami kid. And Indiana's defense was dominant in the first half. They held Miami to 69 first-half yards, worst first half in college football playoff title game history. And that's including, by the way, the TCU-Georgia game. Frogs scored in the first half on their opening drive, and so let's not pretend like they didn't do that. Indiana's defense balled out. Indiana's special teams balled out, and you didn't have to put a lot of pressure on Indiana's offense. I mean, look at Indiana's offense's numbers. They're pedestrian. Miami's defense played pretty well. Mendoza was 16 for 27, 186. It's like a Jalen Hurts type day. Indiana on the ground. Fernando Mendoza had 7 carries, -8 yards, and a touchdown, long of 12 because of sacks in college football. But they rushed for 131 yards. That was good, not great. Indiana's offense was okay. They moved the ball a little bit, but special teams and defense for the Hoosiers was the deciding factor in the game against Miami. And what a heck of a game that was. What a heck of a game that was between the two teams. What's the aftermath of this game? There's a lot of conversation about expanding the playoff. There's a lot of conversation about what region of the country's got the best football. We'll talk about that when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show. Static Summer Sports Station 97 through the Fan. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant, filling in for Ben and Woods today, as well as doing our own show at the same time. The Braden Surprenant Show, live and local each every day from 10 to 2 on San Diego's Urban Sports Station 97.3. The Fan. Got a lot to talk about with college football. We also have some news with the Padres. Got some different rumors starting to float around. We're going to talk about the top 7 free agents in the next hour. We will also talk about 3 pitchers that Ken Rosenthal has thrown out there as some guys that might be able to fall into San Diego's preferred range for an $8 million to $12 million average annual value on a contract. And one of them is a former Padre. We'll talk about that in the next hour here on the Braden Surprenant Show. It's interesting stuff. I'm excited to see one of these names on here. Excited. Want it to happen. Yes, we are. Technically, we are on from 6 to 2 today. Absolutely. Technically. All right. 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973. A little bit more about yesterday's game for Indiana-Miami, the national championship. Indiana entered the game with 715 all-time losses, which was the second most in the FBS history. This wasn't just a win. It completed a 16-0 season, something only the 1894 Yale Bulldogs had ever done in major college football. Indiana beat Miami on the Canes home field, yet Hoosier fans made up roughly 60% of the crowd. 2-year turnaround under Cignetti. Indiana was 9-27 in 3 seasons before he arrived, and Cignetti is now 27-2 over the past 2 seasons. Best in all of college football. Not a Cinderella run, but really a controlled takeover by Cignetti and the Indiana Hoosiers. Roster reality. That was a David versus Goliath roster. Even though you would assume that the roster would be Goliath with Indiana's big boys up there up front and their experience, but Indiana's roster, 8 total 4 or 5-star players on their team. Miami's roster, 45 4 or 5-star players. Indiana won with older players, developed players, physical players, and most of the time, situational excellence. The defining moments of yesterday's game. Mendoza has his Heisman moment. 4th and 4, 9:18 left in the fourth quarter. Mendoza runs 12 yards for a touchdown to give Indiana a 24-14 lead. Mendoza finished the day 16 for 27, 186, no passing touchdowns, but that rushing touchdown was huge. But it was the biggest play of the game. That was leadership over the box score. That was, I'm going to make this happen over sheer talent. I mean, Mendoza was a 2-star athlete coming out of high school. He talked about it in his postgame with Scott Van Pelt. They thought they were going to run. They thought Miami on 4th and 4 was going to run a Tampa 2, drop 8 guys into coverage in a small box. He goes up to the line of scrimmage. He notices that it's going to be half man, half zone. And what he was instructed to do was if it's zone, he runs. If it's pass, he'll throw. I mean, sorry, if it's zone, he runs. If it's man, he'll throw. And what happened was he just decided to take matters in his own self. He said, I'm betting on myself, and I will not be denied. I will die on this field if I have to. That's the type of grit that you don't see a lot anymore in college football. It was a blessing to see that last night. You got to see vintage college sports last night in the Indiana Hoosiers. They had the blocked punt, which I thought was the game flipper. We talked about that and the breakdown of how that worked out yesterday or in the last segment. 5:04 left in the third. Mikhail Kamara blocks the punt. Isaiah Jones recovers it for a touchdown. It's the first block punt touchdown in college football playoff championship history. I thought that flipped the tide of the entire game. And, of course, the final seal, Miami gets the ball back with under 2 minutes to go with an opportunity to drive down the field and score a touchdown to win the game in their home stadium. With 44 seconds left, Jamari Sharp intercepts Carson Beck, and Miami ends the game with not a single lead the entire time. It was a heck of a football game. Why couldn't Miami finish? Well, we'll talk about that after a quick look at traffic. Hey, it's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. Braden Surprenant show here on San Diego Norman Sports Station 97.3 The Fan. We are filling in for Ben and Woods. As all three of them are a little bit under the weather today, so hopefully they'll be back again tomorrow. We'll be taking you up to about 10, and then you'll hear the show again from 10 to 2 as we will read the script exactly word for word how it happened from this morning at 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. Anyway, 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Why couldn't Miami finish last night? Well, penalties had plagued Miami all season. In fact, Miami was 104th in the FBS on averaging 7 accepted penalties a game. Highly penalized team. Critical mistakes. Ruben Bain Jr. jumped off sides on 3rd and 13. Late in the game, led directly to an Indiana touchdown drive. They had missed opportunities of a missed 50-yard field goal. They failed in the red zone. And the offensive line, who outweighed Indiana by 53 pounds a player, lost all of the early battles. I mean, Indiana had the experience, the grit, the discipline, and they dominated the line of scrimmage last night against Miami. Miami won some battles late. But that offensive line and defensive line for Miami that outweighed Indiana's linemen couldn't handle the experience of Indiana's players. You could give me a lot of players in college football, a lot of players. I'd still rather have the 2- and 3-star kids that are older that have experience than the 5-star kids that don't have the experience yet and are fresh out of high school. Defense won this title. I think you're going to see that in the NFL. We'll talk about that later on in the third hour of the show with the NFL games over the weekend and what is leading up to be the AFC and NFC championship games. You have the matchups of defenses with quarterback issues going against teams that have good quarterbacks. That's what you're going to see in the AFC and NFC championship games. You're going to have Matt Stafford, probably the best quarterback left in the playoffs. Drake May's probably the second best quarterback left in the playoffs, depending on what Sam Darnold does. But if the Seahawks and the Broncos are going to get a rematch in the Super Bowl, it's going to be their defense. If it's anything like the national championship, the defense is going to prevail. Indiana held Miami to 69 first-half yards, fewest ever in a college football title game. Indiana entered the game with a plus 473 point differential on the season, which ties a college football playoff record. And the second quarter dominance, 198 second quarter points this season, most by any FBS team in any quarter, which leads to the Big Ten and big picture. First time since 1940 to 1942, the Big Ten has won 3 straight national titles. Indiana fully committed institutionally, football first administration, aggressive fundraising, massive alumni engagement. This wasn't a fluke last night. This was alignment. This is what you need to do if you're a college or a university. You have to be all locked in on football because I'm going to tell you right now, start to look at it. It's called the Flutie effect. Ever remember when Doug Flutie, who was he at Boston College, where he had that big game over Miami and they threw that Hail Mary pass? Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember what game that was in. Was it the Orange Bowl? It might have been the Orange Bowl.
I believe so, yeah.
Okay. Do you know Boston College's applicants went through the roof after that? Just went through the roof because people wanted to be at that school. I remember that. They talked about that at TCU. When I was at TCU, I was still considered one of the Rose Bowl kids, even though watching the Rose Bowl as a San Diego State Aztec fan growing up, watching TCU out of the Mountain West beat Wisconsin. That's not why I went to TCU, but since I was a Californian and one of the new influx of Californians that went to that school, they roped us in. It was the same thing. It was the Flutie effect. Andy Dalton wins the Rose Bowl for TCU on a national stage against Wisconsin, and their applicants went through the roof. Same thing happened again when they won the Peach Bowl, and the same thing happened again when they went to the national championship game, and they beat Michigan in the Fiesta Bowl. You want to get alumni support? You want to get people to go to your school? You invest in football. You invest in football. Can San Diego State do what Indiana did? Probably not. They probably don't have the resources that Indiana has. But you have to have an administration that believes in football. You have to have a school admin that understands the importance of football. Indiana has that. That's the biggest battle. Just because they had a lot of money or spent money. Now, Kurt Signetti has said, I think he said people are blowing out of proportion the NIL resources that they have, and that might be true. You see Mark Cuban, you see that they're in the national championship game, you see that they have flipped the script so fast, you assume it's money. But as Frank pointed out, and I agree, it's not the money, it's what you do with the money. It's not the draft picks, as Jimmy Johnson used to say, it's what you do with the draft picks. Indiana, with a football-first administration and aggressive fundraising, and the alumni being a backer and supporter of this school is the reason why they're able to get to the national championship. You want to improve your opportunity, that's what you got to do. I look at San Diego State, what they can be, being in a city like San Diego. One of the first questions they asked Kurt Signetti is, how in the world are you going to get kids to come play in Bloomington, Indiana? He says he wins. Google me. You could get kids to play in San Diego. Are they ever going to be Indiana like this? No, they're not 16-0, all that stuff. They get the benefit of being in a large conference. Indiana already has a massive advantage in a TV contract. We're already bitching, moaning, and complaining about that in Major League Baseball. But if you got an administration, and I'm not talking athletic department, I'm talking about school administration that backs football, you're already going to be lined up for success. You're already going to be lined up for success. That's what happened with Indiana. They set the foundation for what it takes to be a non-blue blood to upset the apple cart of college football, and I'm hoping there's more of that. Now, there's disputes on the college football playoff in the aftermath. Big Ten is now puffing their chest out. They've won 3 straight titles. I do find it funny that the Big Ten, and I'm going to call it the Big Ten here for a second, people all think that all those kids are from that area. Go look at Indiana's roster. They got a lot of Texas kids, a lot of Georgia kids, a lot of North Carolina and Virginia kids. They got a lot of kids from the South on that team. Got kids from California on that team. The regionality of college football is still intact with fan bases. It's not for rosters. Indiana's roster is from all over the country. Let's not pretend like they just won with a bunch of kids from Indiana. They do have kids from Indiana. They do got some big players from Indiana. They got some big old boys on the offensive line. But let's not pretend that that team is strictly from Indiana. The Big Ten likes to talk about that. We play good football up here. And your roster is not with a bunch of kids from the Midwest, okay? Let's not pretend like that's the case. You got all these better kids up north than they do down south. All the studs, most of the studs on Indiana's team came from the southeast region of the United States. But the disputes between the Big Ten and the SEC and the college football playoff, I'm going to talk about this later in the show because we got a lot of baseball to get to in the next hour. But for anybody that's against the 2014 playoff, I will school you immediately on why it's the perfect thing. You have to allow every Division I team, if they're going to be in Division I at the FBS level, you have to give them a clear path to win a national championship. Otherwise, what's the point of them even being up there? So I'm in favor of that. I agree with the Big Ten. They want a 2014 playoff. The SEC doesn't want that because they'd get probably exposed even more for the fraud that has been on display in the SEC for the last handful of years. The fake good of them just playing each other and then saying, look how good we are. Let's not test ourselves in the non-conference. Let's just do it in conference play and try to convince everybody that we're the best.
Has anyone checked on Paul Feinbaum lately?
Oh, Paul Feinbaum was talking about how, like, if Indiana wins the national championship, nobody's going to care.
It'll be cute. It'll be a cute
Yeah, it's
story.
a cute story. Whatever, Paul. Shut up, Paul. When we come back, top 7 free agents left on the board. One of them could be making his decision today. We'll talk about that, plus 3 pitchers that might help the Padres out, who they're looking at next hour.
Bet tonight.
Not a bad idea.
That I'll have more hits than you.
Let's do it right now.
How much you want to bet?
We'll do $5.
Oh God!
Oh, it hits well in the air. Oh, sick, dude. What a great leadoff! What a great leadoff!
Yeah. You want to be mic'd up?
Oh.
No, Rick.
There's the Joel we know. Well, you're lucky I'm a huge target at first, dude.
Someone gassed.
Shell's got to get us in, though. We're screwed next at bat. That's not great.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, all right.
Zion. Are you? That is the saddest thing. Are you insane? That is sad. No confidence.
Ethan, you better get a hit
Yeah,
now.
it's like Moneyball. He's got no confidence. Ugly girlfriend.
Come on, Sam.
Oh, hose him.
Oh, we got it. Can we get a first baseman I can catch? One time, Matt. Nice. All right.
Glasses on too. That's why.
Oh, damn it. Can we score some runs? Play first base. All of a sudden, it's locked down.
Who bats after Q?
I think it's the other team.
Go!
Go!
Show Braden how to run home.
Oh, damn it. Got onto that bat. Hey, the Surprenant suck. Come on,
I
Cello.
can play cello.
Oh, look at the look at the throw.
Oh my God.
Oh, pick
Oh.
me, dude. You can't see it. It sucks.
I can't see anything.
Oh, I crawled back. Did you ask him to buy you a beer after that?
Hey,
Got us beer, dude.
out there, dude. You serious right now?
He does.
Dude, yeah, Ethan, seriously, dude.
I know. Hey, Ethan, sit next one. You don't boo nobodies. That's what I'm hearing.
Get out of here. Get out of here. Nice ball, Matt. Nice job.
I'm the best.
Hey, good job. Hey, we won. Nice job. Good job.
Good game, guys. Good game.
Let that big guy's going.
Good game. Where do you want me to sign, sir?
Like where you're always.
Go set the Fox.
No, nobody makes me sign. But I'll whatever you need for your your kids or whatever, like sign ball or anything. Let me know.
You're all over it.
Bet tonight.
Not a bad idea.
That I'll have more hits than you.
Let's do it right now.
How much you want to bet?
We'll do $5.
Oh God!
Oh, it hits well in the air. Oh, sick, dude. What a great leadoff. What a great leadoff.
Yeah. You want to be mic'd up?
Oh.
No, Rick.
There's the Joel we know. Well, you're lucky I'm a huge target at first, dude.
Someone gassed. Shell's got to get us in, though. We're screwed next at bat. That's not great.
Yeah, all right. Yeah,
Zion. Are you? That is the saddest thing. Are you insane? That is sad. No confidence.
Ethan, you better get a hit
Yeah,
now.
it's like Moneyball. He's got no confidence. Ugly girlfriend.
Come on, Sam.
Oh, hose him!
Oh, we got it. Can we get a first baseman that can catch? One time, Matt. Nice. All right.
Glasses on too. That's why.
Can we score some runs? Play first base. All of a sudden, it's locked down.
Who bats after Q?
I think it's the other team.
Go! Go!
Show Braden how to run home.
Not over, just getting started. Here on a Tuesday, following the national championship. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. We are the Braden Surprenant Show, live and local each every day from 10 to 2 on San Diego's Urban Sports Station, 97 through the Fan. Ben, Woods, and Paul are all sick today. They are out sick, so we are here in the morning. And if you're missing any of our show this morning, you can hear it again at 10 at our normal time. Little radio magic today for you guys. We're going to be on live and local all day like we always are. We're going to try to replicate word for word our show in the first 4 hours again in the second 4 hours. We'll see how that goes. We're going to try our best. A little help from AI maybe. 833-288-973, 833-288-973. Lots to talk about with the College Football Playoff National Championship from last night. Where do we go from here stuff? They got the way too early top 25, which I never care about except for the fact that TCU is ranked. So you know what? I'm in.
Hey, there you go.
That's right. I had that conversation yesterday. I had this conversation yesterday with my friend, Penn State guy, Mike. You know Mike. Okay. I saw that Brett McMurphy voted TCU 25 in his last poll. And I responded with, wow, TCU getting a vote. And instead of just saying like, wow, can't believe it, or whatever, he immediately responds with, they'd be 3.5-point dogs to Penn State post November 14th.
Bro,
and I was like, come on. No, they wouldn't. First of all, no. Second of all, see, you know what? As you are the chairman of the Big Ten's propaganda media routine over there, the PR firm, you're starting to sound like the SEC with hypotheticals.
Not getting paid like it.
The Big Ten fans are starting to throw out the hypothetical wins. There's another hypothetical win for the Big Ten. No, I'm starting to see it.
That's
starting
good
to
for
see
them.
it. Starting to see it.
Again, I'm the chairman, so I speak for all Big Ten fans here. And I'm just saying, you're starting to understand now, Mr. Feinbaum, why, yes, we did invent college football. However, we do know that the game is played on the field. And last night, game was played on the field. Couldn't help but notice the SEC wasn't involved in it. And the Big Ten came out on top.
I'd like to reiterate the fact that the Big Ten did not invent college football. They invited the school that invented college football.
Which means they invented it.
No, that's not how it works.
Yes, it did. Yes,
Yep.
it is.
Let's give all the Pac-12 act. You know what? Tiger Woods did really well in the ACC playing for Stanford.
Oh, good for him.
The ACC has produced one of the best golfers in the world, Tiger Woods.
Congratulations.
And one of the best swimmers, Katie Ledecky, also ACC.
There you go.
All the Stanford people.
Love it.
I'm not going to waste our time with stupidity. But I will say, Frogs ranked. Sounds good. Looking forward to next year already. I found myself instead of watching television yesterday, because there's nothing on television that like is worth me watching, I put on some old TCU football games in the background as I did some meal prep for the week.
That's a fan right there.
That's, you know what? We're locked. You know what? We cannot wait to take on North Carolina and Dublin, Ireland. We're excited.
I did see last night on my Twitter feed, not even the show Twitter feed, on mine, TCU baseball tweet out immediately after the game was over. It's like, all right, it's baseball.
It's frog ball time.
Yeah.
And we call it frog ball.
Frog ball.
Frog ball. Yeah.
Gotcha.
It's baseball time. No shade at the basketball team that's still trying to tread water right now in the Big 12. But yes, that's how they view it down in Fort Worth. Basketball is just kind of a side deal. They're not really that into that in Fort Worth.
Well, again, it wasn't the
basketball. Or football and baseball down there.
It wasn't the TCU Athletics Twitter page. It was the TCU baseball Twitter page. So I would have expected it from them.
Yeah, Jamie Dixon would be incredible. Friend of the show, Jamie Dixon would be incredibly upset about that. All right, enough about this college stuff. We'll talk more about it in the 1 o'clock hour. Let's get to baseball. And we got some news on the hot stove. We got some news with the free agents, top free agents remaining. Let's get to our baseball report that we do at the beginning of the second hour each and every day. There it is. You know what it means? It is baseball time. Thank you, TCU Baseball, for letting us know that it's time for baseball season.
It was a smooth transition by us.
That was great.
That we completely planned. There are still 7 really top free agents that everyone's going to be coveting. Anyway, there are 7 free agents that people are still really going to be going for, that are still out there on the free agent market. So we figured let's take a look at what's going on with them. Cody Bellinger is the last marquee position player left on the board looking for a place to play in 2026. The Yankees reportedly offered Bellinger a 5-year deal worth roughly $160 million with opt-outs after years 2 and 3 to bring him back to the Bronx. Bellinger turned that down, looking for a 7-year deal, and has forced the Yankees to start looking elsewhere. Currently, the Mets, Blue Jays, Phillies, and Giants have all reported links to Bellinger, with the Mets and Blue Jays having missed out on Kyle Tucker. As of this morning, Jim Bowden reporting on Twitter that Bellinger is weighing several offers from multiple teams and could be making a decision soon. So maybe by the time our show repeats, or by the time Gwen and Chris go live, Bellinger may have signed with a team.
So the Yankees offered a 5-year, $160 million deal with opt-outs.
Yes.
To bring him back. He's looking for a 7-year deal.
Yeah, which I may have said this already, but there comes a time where you hit a certain level of delusion that people don't look at you like you're delusional. They look at you in awe of, wow, what even fantasy would allow you to think you're going to get such a thing? And this is kind of where we're at with Cody Bellinger. Who would give him 7 years?
Yeah, so he's 30 this year. Yeah, he's my age. So he's going to be 31, I think, by the end of the season this year.
Mm-hmm.
7 years. You're going to pay until he's 38 years old. When has this ever worked for anybody?
Ooh.
I mean, we talked about it last week. Now, what the Padres did was, in order to get some of these guys, they had to go long-term on contracts. You're paying for their prime years, and then after the fact, you're like, all right, well, if we win a World Series, this is what we owe for the World Series. I just don't know. That's from a team that had never, that's from a Padres perspective where they didn't have any stars. You're talking about a guy like Cody Bellinger and being linked to teams that all have stars. Why would you give him a 7-year deal? It makes no sense. You're just going to be crippled by this unless you defer all the money later. I don't understand that these big deals. This is going to be the end, I think, of these long-term deals. I think a lot of teams are going to start handing these deals out that have multiple opt-outs and hoping that these guys get greedy and opt out so they don't have to pay them anymore. If I'm Cody Bellinger, out of the list of teams that have offered me, Yankees, Mets, Blue Jays, Phillies, and Giants, I'm going to New York or I'm going to Philly.
Yeah, those would be the only 2 places that you would even really consider.
Yeah, I'm going to the Yankees or I'm going to the Phillies. I don't really want to go to Toronto. It sounds like Toronto is back to being used as the exactly. They're the pump up, exactly. They're the team that's there to drive the price up at this point in time, or maybe just for Kyle Tucker. To me, the Phillies are a team that's going to be able to compete. You get to play with some stars, and it's a hitters-friendly ballpark. San Francisco, I don't know if I'd ever sign with the Giants if I was a player like Cody Bellinger. Because here's the other thing, like, why would you want to sign with the Giants to have to deal with the Dodgers all the time? Look at the pattern of the way that these guys are making decisions.
Mm-hmm.
Put me on the team that's loaded and pay me like a star. That's kind of what they're doing. That's what every major free agent is trying to do. Put me on a team that's loaded and surround me by talent. And that's where I want to go. To me, that's Philly and the Yankees for Cody Bellinger. I bet he goes back to the Yankees, but we'll see. I'm sure there's another team in there that's lingering. What do they need Andy Pages for when they could just go get Cody Bellinger?
Yeah, welcome back.
Max Muncy getting cut soon? Surprised they haven't traded for a third baseman. They probably go pick up Eugenio Suarez. On to the next.
We're going to start pairing these guys up now. Framber Valdez and Zach Gallen. Both Valdez and Gallen remain on the free agent market. Both pitchers were extended qualifying offers, meaning the team that signs them owes the Astros and Diamondbacks, respectively, a draft pick. Valdez has been linked to the Mets, Orioles, Giants, and Cubs and had met with the Blue Jays before they ended up signing Dylan Cease. Zach Gallen, meanwhile, has had a lot less noise around him than Valdez has had this offseason. Reports are that Gallen has been linked to the Angels, Giants, Rangers, Orioles, Braves, and Cubbies, with Bruce Levine of 670 AM The Score in Chicago saying talks between Gallen and the Cubs are ongoing. I saw a report yesterday that Framber Valdez might be putting himself in a position where he's going to be forced to take one of the short-term high AAV deals if he doesn't sign sooner rather than later.
Well, those are two of the better players on the market. Valdez, as we have mentioned multiple times, was expected to get a 5-year, $140 million deal at $28 million a year. I agree with you. I mean, the longer this waits, I think he's going to get a shorter deal, higher AAV, kind of bet on yourself deal for Framber Valdez with a competing team, competitive team. Just go back to Cody Bellinger. His projected contract, according to Fangraphs, was actually a 5-year deal at $135 million.
Oh, so the Yankees are overpaying.
The Yankees were overpaying for Cody Bellinger, and he wants more years, which is funny to me.
Good job.
Good job. I mean, whatever. Valdez is better than Zach Gallen, but at the same time, like Framber had a lot of issues in Houston. He had a lot of other issues in Houston that not a lot of people want to talk about. So I think that's probably added to it, but we'll see where they go. I mean, Gallen's got a lot of suitors, a lot of good and bad team suitors on the list.
Yeah, a lot of potential links, but nothing really strong for Zach Gallen. Two position players now, Eugenio Suarez and Luis Arraez. Conversation surrounding both Suarez and Arraez have been very minimal despite the 49 home run season that Suarez put up last year. Seattle Mariners GM Justin Hollander has expressed interest in bringing Suarez back to the Emerald City, but those comments were made back in December. The Pittsburgh Pirates have also checked in to try to facilitate an Eugenio Suarez move back to the National League Central. Luis Arraez has had less conversation surrounding him than Suarez. Arraez has been linked to the Texas Rangers earlier this winter, where he could reunite with former Marlins manager Skip Schumacher. Reports are now assuming that he will end up back here in San Diego, as the Padres have yet to fill their first base vacancy.
See, that's interesting to me, because we kept talking about the Padres need to add more slug. Have they added any more slug yet?
No.
They haven't any more slug. They haven't added any more slug yet.
Again, that is not an official report. That is not an official link. That is just an assumption. So there's no known conversations going on, but industry informants are assuming that the likely fit now for Arraez is going to be to come back.
Well, this is what I said going into free agency. I said, unless I can get him for a deal back because nobody else wants him, I got to add more slug if I'm the Padres. Right? So now here's the deal. So with Song, you didn't add more slug. You added a utility player, right? It's not a slug option. He hit decent in the KBO, but he didn't hit better than Ha-Seong Kim. And Ha-Seong Kim, I would not consider a slug player, which, by the way, he's going to be out 4 to 6 months. Did you see that over the weekend?
Yes.
Got Atlanta. They just do not do well in signing former Padres, apparently. They added another one, too. Jorge Mateo got added to the Braves, too. What a vintage Padres club they got over there. What scouts are over there for the Braves that used to be in the Padres organization? All the former Padres over there. But to go back to the Padres on a sense of like they needed to add slug, haven't done it yet. There's other reports from Ken Rosenthal that we're going to get to, everybody's favorite reporter.
I can't do the booth.
I know, with the music. About how they want to add a couple of bats still. It sounds like they're going to wait for the money to be right on a lot of these potential contracts. They were looking at potentially adding Arenado, remember, from last week?
Mm-hmm.
And they said they could take on the $11 million a year, but they'd rather do it on starting pitching. So to me, how I see this playing out is Padres are going to get some starting pitching. There's some names that have been linked now with Ken Rosenthal putting it in his latest article that we're going to talk about. And then I think they're going to use some leftover. And if Luis Ariz is still there by spring training and it's less than $10 million, I bet you if it's like $6 million or less, if he gets like what Song gets and he's just willing to sign, for like, I think he comes back. But they need a bat. They have to add another bat somewhere with power for me to bring back Luis Ariz. I don't really want Luis Ariz back. I mean, again, aside from the fact that he's a good guy and he loves the Padres, he loves San Diego, and the clubhouse loves him, and he's a good contact hitter and all that fun stuff, the team needs a dude that can put the ball in the seats. And Luis Ariz is not that dude. But it's an interesting it's one of those. This is kind of how I thought this is going to play out. His market is not big. He's not an attractive player to a lot of different teams. He's a decent player, but in this day and age of baseball, he's not the player that a lot of teams want for the amount of money he is asking for. So unless he decides to take way less, he's probably not going to be on a lot of teams, and the Padres might be able to just wait it out and get him for a steal. You get him for less than $6 million a year, that's a steal. You could bring back Luis Ariz. He's worth that at this point. But I don't know if that's worth being your everyday starting first baseman. Because here's the other question that's got to be thrown out there that a lot of people that driving around might be throwing out there in their cars is, if the whole point was to add more pieces because the team was not good enough to make it through the wild card, you're going to go into the season with the exact same starting lineup. The exact same.
Mm-hmm.
There's nobody you're missing now. Pitching got changed a little bit, but first base, if you brought back Ariz, would still be Luis Ariz. Second base would still be Jake Cronenworth. Yes. Shortstop, still Xander Bogaerts. Manny Machado still at third. Your outfield is still Tatis, Merrill, and Laureano. At least you would have Laureano for the season instead of
catchers,
just right. Freddie Fermin is still the catcher, and instead of Elias Diaz, you have Luis Camposano right now. Your starting nine is the exact starting nine that you had going into the Cubs playoff series. It's the exact same. Maybe you got to add.
Really quick, we'll get through these last two.
Let's get to break. We'll get to that in a second. When we come back, we do got to get to some Padres news that was thrown out there. AJ Cassavell answered some questions on Friday. We'll talk about the most important of those things, as well as talk about two other free agents that are left in the top 7. One of them has been linked to a potential fit for the Padres. We'll let you know who that is when we return on the Braden Surprenant Show. Filling in for Bennett Woods, San Diego's number 1 sports station, 97 through the Fan. But first, let's take a look at traffic. Braden Surprenant show, live and local each every day from 10 to 2 on San Diego's number sports station 97.3. The Fan, Ben Higgins, Steve Woods, and Paul Reindl all out with an illness today, listed on the inactive list today, Frank. They were on the inactive list today. So we're in.
What would he call it on Friday? That Arizona black lung?
I think so. That's what he called it. Apparently that was going around over there.
Yeah, this is usually around the time when that starts. So, yeah, I believe it.
My mom goes, had they been back since? And I was like, yeah, they were in the studio on Thursday and Friday. And she was like, have a spoonful of Manuka honey immediately. I'm like, all right, don't pull my leg. I mean,
all right, fine.
Spoonful of honey is great. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. All right, we're talking Padres baseball. We're talking baseball this morning. We talked about the national championship in the first hour. If you want to go back, you can go back and listen. You can go back and watch on YouTube as well. Be sure to follow us on social media at B_SURP, at BSURP. You can follow me on Instagram and on X at that handle. You can follow the show account at B_SURP show. Be sure to follow Frank Marchese, FMarks324 on social media as well. We are on from 10 to 2 each and every day. If you're just tuning in, you haven't heard us in the midday while you're working. We are on every single day from 10 to 2 after Bennett Woods and before Gwen and Chris. So we really appreciate you guys tuning in to us this morning as you come back from a holiday weekend, get back in the swing of things. It's a Tuesday today, although it feels probably like a Monday for a lot of people, especially after the 3-day weekend. All right, let's get back to the Padres for a second in Major League Baseball. So we talked about the top 7 free agents remaining and what the latest news is on them. Jim Bowden reported this morning that he is expecting Cody Bellinger to make a decision on the multiple offers that he has gotten from multiple teams today. We'll see if that happens during the course of our show.
Well, he didn't say today. He said soon.
Soon. That could be a lot of different things. Thanks, Jim. Thanks for the tweet. Appreciate it, buddy. It's funny. That was followed by a John Heyman tweet saying that his Hall of Fame ballot sucks. Also funny. Also hilarious. Okay. AJ Cassavell on Friday. He did a Q&A on Reddit and answered a lot of questions with a lot of fans from Major League for the San Diego Padres. That leads us into our next topic of discussion, some of the things that were asked to AJ Cassavell and some things that he laid out. Number one was starting pitching and how it's a clear priority, not offense. And to be honest with you, it makes a lot of sense. The Padres need more starting pitching. It is the biggest area of need. AJ Cassavell has said that multiple times. I would agree with such a sentiment. And AJ views the offense as viable but imperfect. Gavin Sheets starting at first base isn't ideal. Sheets at DH with a first base DH platoon of Camposano and Sungmoon Song can function. One more bat helps, but it's not essential. By contrast, another MLB caliber starter is an absolute necessity, even if it's not an ace. Do you think, Frank, it is more important to get one more starting pitcher or to add a bat with some slug before the season starts, knowing that you could potentially add at the trade deadline? What's more important?
I would say the pitching. You always need another arm, and we saw it last year with how quickly injuries to the starting rotation racked up for the Padres. That depth that you thought you had wasn't as deep as you thought it was. So I think the starting pitching would be the most important. Personally, I would try to trade for one of the starting pitchers that are out there that have been marketed and try to sign possibly a first base bat. That's just me. So you get both, but if you could only do one, starting pitching would definitely be the one.
Starting pitching still needs to be the main priority, even though they brought back Michael King. To me, I view this rotation as constructed as one that can get you to the deadline with a winning record. It could put you you're not going to fall behind with the starting rotation. It's a lot to ask. It's, being held up together barely. You're asking Joe Musgrove to be excellent coming off of Tommy John surgery from a year and a half ago. As he comes back, he's going to be hopefully a full participant in spring training. You're asking Nick Pivetta to replicate what he did last year, which is a career year for him as a starting pitcher. You're asking for Michael King, who's coming off an injury as well, to be back ready to go. You're asking Randy Vasquez to continue to be a Houdini act and getting himself out of problems. And then you're asking for some type of young pitcher, whether it be Matt Waldron or a JP Sears, to finish up the rotation. That's a lot to ask of the rotation going into the season. Can you make the playoffs with that rotation? I don't think so. I think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be close and it's going to come up short. And that's barring any injury, anything like that. I do think, though, it could get you to the trade deadline, but then you would have to add 2 pitchers at minimum at the trade deadline. And I don't know if that's in the means for the Padres. To me, the Padres right now, as they go into spring training, need to try to find a way to make their trade deadline not a gigantic list of things that they have to get done. So starting pitching, clear priority, not the offense. I agree with that. I think you can, again, same thing with the offense. I think you could survive with the offense that you have, but I'd rather add a bat at the deadline than have to go chase a bunch of pitchers, which everybody is always going to need. There's a couple of pitchers that are listed by Ken Rosenthal that might play into a factor for the Padres. We're going to talk about that in the next segment. But on to the next thing asked AJ Cassavell was about the playoff odds. AJ Cassavell gets the Padres a 15% chance of making the playoffs with the rosters currently constructed. I disagree with that because looking at other teams, the Padres still have a very viable roster that is in comparison to the other teams in the National League. I think it's going to be competitive. I think it's going to be more difficult than it has been in years past. But you start looking at other teams in the National League, you could start eliminating teams off the board. I said that last year at nauseum on my show, but you got to start looking around. I know you got to focus on your own team, or we got to focus on ourselves and all that stuff, and they got to get better, and there's a lot of spots they got to get better at. But at the same time, they're already better than a lot of other teams, just with the roster that they have built in and under control for a long period of time. Now, AJ Cassavell puts that percentage on the fact that you assume that you need to have near perfect outcomes from King, Musgrove, Pivetta, and depth arms, which is a lot to ask, as we talked about on the priority list of starting pitching over batters. But he does know if the Padres add 2 starters, it increases your odd to 60% for the playoffs. If you had 2 starters and another first baseman DH bat, probably 70%. Obviously, I think this notes that the Padres are not that close, but also at the same time, they're not very far away. I mean, they're right there. They're kind of like could go either way based on the first couple months of the season, unless they add some players. Now, AJ Preller conversation with AJ Cassavell is asked on his Reddit deal. Let me ask you this question. I think the playoff chances are higher right now than what AJ Cassavell has listed, because I think you could survive to the trade deadline and then see what happens at the trade deadline. If you have to keep this entire roster throughout the entire year, then yes, I'd list it at 15%. But the fact that you do have the trade deadline and AJ Preller is very active at the trade deadline, and the way other National League teams are, I think the Padres' odds to make the playoffs as of right now with the team currently constructed is higher than 15%.
Let me pull up MLB.com here really quick. I would say it's honestly about right, because if you look at last year, the Phillies are going to be good. The Mets are going to be, you assume the Mets are going to play baseball. You can't expect the Braves to be as bad as they were.
They're already off to a hot start with all the injuries that they have.
Right, but you cannot expect them to be as god-awful as they were last year, even with the injuries.
I don't think the Braves roster right now is better than the Padres.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying, but their impact players weren't there at the start of the year.
I know, but what I'm saying is start going through everybody's roster. As much as the Padres have holes, so does everybody else in baseball.
No, agreed.
There's 2 teams in the East right now that are concerning to me. It's the Mets and it's the Phillies. I'm not overly concerned about the Braves. The Marlins, even though they have gotten better, just, they have traded away good pieces. It's just they're not, and the Nationals are nothing. So that's one team you have to compete with for a wild card spot. By the way, you get 3 wild card spots because one of those 2 teams is winning the division. Then you go to the Central. Cardinals have already punted on the season.
Yeah, Cardinals
they have no
are done.
interest in playing in the season. Is your roster better than the Pirates?
Yes.
Yeah, it's better than the Pirates. I think the Padres roster is better than the Reds. I think the Reds are a team you'd have to somewhat compete with. I think they're better than the Reds. And if the Brewers trade away Freddie Peralta, which they haven't yet, the Brewers are a team that you'd have to compete with, but that's another potential spot. That's a wild card spot. Now you look at the West. Are you better than the Diamondbacks right now? I still think you're better than the Diamondbacks right now.
Yes, but
are you better than the Giants? And are you better than the Rockies? I'm telling you, 15% odds to make the playoffs. You start looking at all these other teams. It's a little low. If you're just looking at the Padres roster, you're like, oh, this team needs to get through this to make it through the season. It's still better than a large majority of the National League, which means I think the playoff odds of the roster right now currently constructed is probably at 45%. I think it's close to 50-50.
You almost won the division last year. You had a chance. You blew it. A lot of the issue that we had with the team last year was how roller coaster-esque they were. They were a 500 team in the first half of the season had it not been for that 7-0 start. That was the only thing for a while that kept them in the race to be in the division and 2 be in the playoff.
That's most baseball teams.
Arizona had a injury massacre rip through their team last year, including their prize starting pitcher, Corbin Burns, who they had just gotten on free agency. They got completely decimated by injuries and still finished with a positive run differential to keep the Ben Higgins flavor on the morning show. I think the Reds can be competent this year. The Brewers always seem to find a way. The Cubs are going to be better than they were last year. Remember, we were talking about it was their division to lose last year. The Braves, I think, are going to be better this year. And who knows, maybe with the way the Marlins finished last year, maybe there's a fight with them because they were in it for the wild card right up until the bitter end. So there are teams next year that can come up and bite you. I think you have a very good chance at beating them. You have a better than average chance at beating them, but there are teams out there that you cannot rely on having the same bad year they had last year, and there are teams that might surprise you.
You're saying all those teams have a better chance of making the playoffs than the Padres.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying you're going to be in a fight.
You're in a fight with them. You have to, though. To say that the Padres have a 15% chance of making the playoffs, not everybody in that list is going to be a 15% chance of making the playoffs. Some of those teams have to, by logic, have a better percentage chance of making the playoffs than the Padres, which means you would think their roster is better. I don't think the Diamondbacks roster right now is better than the Padres.
I think they can beat them, though. I do. I believe that Arizona can.
Well, yeah,
given the right circumstances.
It's baseball, of course. But we're just talking about the rosters right now and who's got a percentage chance of making the playoffs. And on paper, the Padres roster is still better than most of the National League. I'm telling you, it's not. And 6 teams make the playoffs. 15% chance. They had better chance. They had teams at 2010 that had a 15% chance of making the playoffs. This roster is way better than it used to be. This roster is better than the majority of the National League. It is. The Padres roster is better than the Diamondbacks roster. The Padres roster is better than the Giants roster. The Padres roster, I don't even need to talk about the Rockies. They're not even a team. The Padres roster is better than the Cardinals, Reds roster in the Central and the Pirates. The Padres roster is better than the Marlins. It's better than the Nationals, and it's better than the Braves. So by that, just compare. They have a better than 15% chance of making the postseason because they're better than most of the league that's already punting on the season, like the Cardinals. So I think the 15% chance of making the playoffs in this particular sense is a little extreme. The fact that if you add 2 starting pitchers, it jumps to 60 is also a little extreme too. If you add starting pitchers to this Padres, 2 starting pitchers, a starting rotation for the Padres, I think it jumps up to 70%. I mean, the roster is basically the same as it was last year. It's got an elite bullpen. You need some starting pitching. And the starting pitching is not incompetent. It's not like Randy Vasquez is going out there as your number 2. So I think it's a little harsh on some of those comparisons. When we come back, speaking of starting pitching, there are 3 names that Ken Rosenthal listed as players that could, if taken a long time to sign, could fall into the Padres' lap. And if you get one of these guys, I think your odds of making the playoffs are very high. We'll talk about that when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show, setting us over on Sports Station 97.3 The Fan. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. We're the Braden Surprenant Show, live and locally each every day from 10 to 2 on San Diego's number one sports station 97.3 The Fan. Ben, Woods, and Paul are all out sick today, so we got a lot of us today on the airwaves. We appreciate you guys tuning in to us after a holiday weekend. Hopefully you guys all had a great time. The weather this weekend was great. Great.
Yeah, it was nice. It was really, really nice.
It was
all
the
weekend.
fall spring of January. It was great.
The fring.
The fring?
Fring.
Fall spring?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great. It was nice to be walking around. I actually got to wear shorts all weekend. It's phenomenal. I didn't have to wear a hoodie. It was great. This morning was a little chilly, but you know what? This is the fall spring that you get that gets you excited for baseball. It gets you excited for, spring training, gets you excited for all spring and summertime, and then February punches you in the face. And it's cloudy and it sucks. February is the worst month in the year. It's the worst. It is the worst month of the year. Find me a month that's worse than February. You can't. It's the worst.
November.
I like November. I'm coaching high school football in November. There's Thanksgiving in
Thanksgiving's
November.
in November.
Thanksgiving's in November. College football is in November. The NFL's in November. We got MLB Hot Stove in November. The month that sucks is February. It is the worst month in the calendar year.
No, it's not.
It is.
You know what? No, it is not. I refuse.
February sucks.
No,
Punxsutawney Phil.
Daytona 500, baby.
Oh,
NASCAR's
boring.
back, especially this year. We got to get on it. They're coming here.
All right, let's talk. All right, so your honest answer, though, the worst month, it's still February.
No, it's not.
It is. It's still February.
Honestly,
Give me a worst month.
Madness.
Yeah, dude, my birthday's in March. March is great. I love March.
March is awful because
March
you're
Madness.
ready for, but you're March.
Play
Madness
the song.
March Madness is in April. Stop it.
Give me a. What are you talking about? All
The
of March
championship-
the
championship game is in April.
Nobody watches the championship game. Look at ratings. Nobody watches championship games. They watch all the other stuff. Play the song. It's on there. Yes.
But especially around here, you're waiting for baseball to start, and it's the slog of
At
spring
least
training.
baseball's going on.
It's the
They're playing
drone
games.
of spring training.
They're playing games. You got March Madness. You got college basketball. You got my birthday. You got opening day in March, by
It's
the
like
way. Opening days in March.
It's like the story. It's like the story Jesse Agler told.
I'm telling you.
You do the baseball season, regular season for free. You get paid for spring training.
Of course. March is not the worst month. It's February. At least you have baseball games playing.
Yeah, pitchers and catchers show up in February if you want to go by that logic.
Yeah, but they're just throwing bullpens. It's boring.
Oh no.
The worst month is February. The worst month is
No, it
February.
not.
The Daytona 500 cannot save February. And you know what else can't save February? The Super Bowl can't save February either. February is the worst month in the calendar year. The best holiday. It's like they have it's Valentine's Day. It's the shortest month and it's the worst month. It's usually cloudy in San Diego. It takes 8 years to complete the month of February, even though it's only 28 days. It is, in fact, the worst month in the calendar year.
Okay.
It is.
Okay. We're doing it now. Twitter poll coming up.
The worst month in the year is February.
Is it February or March? Worst month.
March is great.
No, March is not great.
You got spring sports already going on.
March is not great.
March is great.
No, it's not.
We love March. March.
You love March because it's your birthday.
No, March Madness is way better.
February
is
the meaningful part of the tournament is in April.
No, it's not. The
Yes,
meeting
it
part of the
is.
tournament.
The Elite Eight and on is in April.
No, it's not. The national championship's in April, and sometimes the Final Four is in April. But the best part of March Madness are the first weekend. The first and second round are the best parts of March Madness.
Then why play after that?
To finish the tournament. But those are the best 2 weeks. That's where you get all the upsets. That's where you get all the excitement. That is the best 2 weeks. That is the best 4 days of college basketball.
Right.
In fact, March Madness is the best postseason in any sport.
We got a poll going up in chat.
February is the worst month because you're in the middle of the NBA season. You're in the middle of the NHL season. College basketball is not even close to conference play.
We rip on the NBA every day we get a chance to.
Exactly. And that's the worst part of the NBA. The worst part of the most boring league is in February. I'm telling you, it's the worst month ever. February is the worst. It's the worst month for sports. It's the worst month for weather here in San Diego. It's cold. It's cloudy. It's gross. Okay, it's not as cold as it is in North Carolina right now, as the one fan said in the chat. But I'll tell you, February is the worst month.
All right.
The worst month.
Vote in chat. Which month is worse?
It's Feb.
Is it February or March?
February.
YouTube chat. Have fun. Have at it.
February's the worst month for sports and everything, to be honest with you.
It's not.
Best month?
Okay,
September.
What's the criteria then? Is it worst month in general or worst month for sports? Because now we keep changing it here.
It's the worst month for everything.
It's
the worst month for sports. It's the worst month for weather in San Diego. It's the worst month for like doing things. It's just terrible. Come on, Cole. That's a foul. Dish it out. We got to hand out more fouls in this show because it's the morning. That's a foul.
He draws the foul.
Kathy in LA. March is awesome. Of course. Foul. You're cold, cloudy, and gross. T Street 710 must have a birthday in February. Worst month, February. It's by far.
Like Cole said, he saw the opportunity. He had a foul to give, and he took it.
He took the foul to give. He had a foul to give. All right. A couple things with the Padres that we wanted to get to. And we're going to talk more about this in the next hour because we're going to run out of time here.
Yes, we are.
But when looking at, let's go back to some things with AJ Cassavell's deal.
We have to do traffic.
No, we do. Let's get to
used to
traffic.
that.
Let's get to traffic.
From the 855 Get Ross Traffic Center, protecting San Diego after accidents or injury, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is brought to you by San Diego law firm fighting for your sexual harassment rights at SDLF.com. A little busy in the South Bay this morning. Got this collision on northbound 805 before the 54. Tow truck helping to clear that from the center divide. Crash up ahead right before the 15. This one involves a couple vehicles. Got the right lane blocked. And northbound 5 did clear up an accident near Pershing. Watch out for a little leftover slowing there. Sometimes it's called a joke, a compliment, a hand that stays too long. If it's happening at work, you don't have to face it alone. San Diego Law Firm will help you fight against sexual harassment. Contact them at SDLF.com. That's SDLF.com. I'm Kelly Danick, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Everybody's voting on the February's my
Good.
birthday month. The no appreciation for March Madness. World Baseball Classic is in March too, Frank. We got a lot of stuff in March. March is
Okay.
great. March is great.
World Baseball Classic is every 4 years, though. 3 years, whatever.
And
it
it's in
is.
March. March. All right. It sounds like from what we have talked about with a lot of different moving parts of the Padres and some things that AJ Cassavell answered on in his Q&A that he did on Reddit. We talked about a lot of things. The playoff odds, starting pitching is a clear priority. Haven't heard a lot on the AJ Preller extension, but as according to AJ Cassavell, it sounds like the extension is likely and splash move might still be coming. Cassavell expects Preller to eventually get an extension despite the delay. Preller's operating as if business as usual. And AJ Cassavell strongly believes another splash move is coming. What could that splash move be? What are some names that have been thrown out there? We got a report from Ken Rosenthal today. We'll talk about it to start the next hour on the Braden Surprenant Show. Filling in for Ben and Woods.
Come on, baby. Come on. Let's go. Oh, there we go. Did the director's cabinet give you that shirt? Block out the noise and just swing it? We got a bunch of guys that let the noise get into their heads and they're swinging the club. Okay. Ready. I like to think I'm making Kyle better. I've been hitting balls down the middle and Kyle's side. No, that's not good enough. All right, what goes further? Braden's drive or me throwing the football here? Oh! Shot. Wow. Hey, put that one in between commercials. Rocks. The next group coming up too. Ow! I don't know how good it is. Punch. 1840. Ha ha. Phillip Rivers. God. He played quarterback in high school, by the way. Falcon. They didn't have many quarterbacks in Colorado. Falcon of Falcon. Got here. How we playing? I could just put it in my bag. Do you have one of those? Do you have one of these? We didn't win, but wow! That's Gary's 7th mulligan. I think I'll pick up that other one. Cigar night. Trade myself to there. That's not a bad putt. Cut. Get there! Oh, we got a bird, right? Under now. That was a great putt by you, by the way. I don't know why you want to be on camera. What? One. Hey, bud. Go. Come on, baby. Come on. Let's go. Oh, there we go. Did the director's cabinet give you that shirt? Did you block out the noise and just swing it? We got a bunch of guys that let the noise get into their heads and they're swinging the club. Okay. Ready. I like to think I'm making Kyle better. I've been hitting balls down the middle and Kyle's side. No, that's not good enough. All right, what goes further? Braden's drive or me throwing the football here? Oh! Shot. Wow. Hey, put that one in between commercials. Rocks. The next group coming up too. Ow! I don't know how good it is. Punch. 1840. Ha ha. Phillip Rivers. God. He played quarterback in high school, by the way. Falcon. They didn't have many quarterbacks in Colorado. Falcon of Falcon. Got here. How we playing? I could just put it in my bag. Do you have one of those? Do you have one of these? We didn't win, but wow! That's Gary's 7th mulligan. I think I'll pick up that other one. Cigar night. Trade myself to there. That's not a bad putt. Cut. Get there! Oh, we got a bird, right? Under now. That was a great putt by you, by the way. I don't know why you want to be on camera. What? One. Hey, bud. Go. on, baby. Come on. Let's go. Oh, there we go. Did the director's cabinet give you that shirt? Did you block out the noise and just swing it? We got a bunch of guys that let the noise get into their heads and they're swinging the club. Okay. Ready. I like to think I'm making Kyle better. I've been hitting balls down the middle and Kyle's side. No, that's not good enough. All right, what goes further? Braden's drive or me throwing the football here? Oh! Shot. Wow.
Hey, put that one in between commercials.
Rocks.
The next group coming up too.
Ow! I don't know how good it is.
Punch, 1840. Ha ha!
I mean, Phillip Rivers.
He played quarterback in high school, by the way.
Falcon. They didn't have many quarterbacks in Colorado.
Falcon we got here.
How we
I could just put it in my bag. Do you have one of those? Do you have one of these? We didn't win, but...
County, no one knows America's finest city like he
You
does.
can't just punt on a Manny Machado prime use.
He's a fourth-generation San Diegan, born and raised in the heart of this community. Passionate, opinionated, and always bringing you the real talk on your teams, your city, and everything in between.
Braden totally knows his stuff. He's ready for the next step. That guy is good.
Live and local, it's the Braden Surprenant Show.
But I think Braden's one of the up-and-coming young stars in the media game in San Diego.
Now, here's your host, Braden Surprenant.
Third hour, filling in for Ben Woods, out sick. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. This is the Braden Surprenant Show. Said he was over at Sports Station 97.3 The Fan. People don't like the commercial breaks for our show, Frank. Imagine tuning in and seeing like a fun video that we put during the commercial breaks and being upset about it.
I mean, we
To
could
start
just,
your day.
we could just go with the blank screen.
I know, you go back to the blank screen. It's fun, guys. Relax. There's more to life than what you guys are doing. The hatred is just so crazy to me sometimes. The hatred. We're trying to make it entertaining. It's better than like listening to the weird music StreamYard plays. We're going to have more material like that. We have a lot more material like that. Can't wait to see Frank's videos he's going to put out.
Yeah, February for us is going to be a month of a lot of changes.
A lot of great
We've got-
changes.
yeah,
You know, I
we've
don't know why?
got-
Because February sucks. We got to make it nice. I will say, M. McKee in the chat, they had it. M. McKee 23, Olympics, save February this year. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Anyway. All right, let's get to the Padres stuff, okay? Couple of things. All right, so AJ Cassavell talked about in his question and answer session on Reddit on Friday that he expects another splash move is coming for the Padres based on Preller's history of late offseason deals and his tendency to strike closer to spring training. Now, would these qualify under the splash move? Ken Rosenthal today had an article about the, what was the actual name of this article? Because it mentioned the Padres and some other stuff in there. Why a potential lockout doesn't seem to be impacting the MLB offseason. He talks about Bo Bichette and his contract and stuff like that. But then he has other nuggets. He talks about how the A's also wanted Nolan Arenado. They were looking to potentially add Nolan Arenado, but Arenado preferred playing for the Diamondbacks or the Padres. Padres were in the mix, as we talked about last week. They didn't want to really spend any money on it. The Diamondbacks ended up picking up some money, and so he's a Diamondback, which I think is okay. I think it's okay. Now, here's the deal. The Padres had a little bit of a clip in this article when talking with, or should I say about the starting pitching situation and what the Padres could potentially be doing. So they talk about the whole, Ken Rosenthal talks about the whole Diamondbacks trying to land, our Diamondbacks landing Arenado. Padres were in on the mix. They were willing to spend $11 million over 2 years for Arenado. It's not very burdensome for the Padres, but they prefer to invest more heavily in a starting pitcher. AJ Cassavell mentioned on Friday, as we agree, that starting pitching is the most important thing that the Padres should be going after. Now, here's what Ken Rosenthal said. Ideally, the Padres would pounce on a starter who lingers on the market the way right-hander Nick Pivetta did last offseason. The Padres did not sign Pivetta to his 4-year, $55 million deal until February 17th. Frank Marchese was upset about that, apparently.
I was not upset with it. I said it's a steal for $1 million. Let's see what it looks like when it's 20. That's all I said.
Here are the names that were listed as among the free agents who could fall into San Diego's preferred range at an $8 million to $12 million average annual value. These are players that could pull the Nick Pivetta, right? Like, they linger around. They need a place to go. The Padres could add them very cheap. Justin Verlander, Do you really want Justin Verlander at this age now?
Nope.
For $8 million to $12 million? I really don't. I don't think it's that much of an upgrade. I guess from an experience standpoint, it's probably good. It's probably good for younger pitchers during spring training. But if you're going to sign him midway through spring training, then it's not going to be that great of a pickup. Lucas Giolito. I wouldn't mind Lucas Giolito, to be honest with you. I wouldn't mind Lucas Giolito on the San Diego Padres. I think it would be a good ad for the Padres at starting pitching. I think in the $8 to $12 million range, it's good. You could have Lucas Giolito be your number 4 starter, and then you have a mix of Randy Vasquez and JP Sears and Matt Waldron as your 5, and I think you're in a good spot. The last one on the list I love the most, Nick Martinez. If you could bring Nick Martinez back on a smaller deal in the $8 to $12 million range, I know he's getting up there in age, but this is a guy that could do a couple of things. This is a guy that could be a back end of the rotation arm. He can also be a long relief guy in the bullpen. You know, he could get you a lot of innings. That guy is going to, he's going to do what Fernando Mendoza did last night. That guy is going to give his all for you each and every day. I'd love to see Nick Martinez back on the San Diego Padres, but those are 3 names that remain part of the conversation. The last part, at least of the starting pitching conversation for Ken Rosenthal, was that the Padres also are among the clubs to check in with the Milwaukee Brewers on a trade for righty ace Freddie Peralta, whose salary this season will be $8 million. Now, if the Padres are able to pull off that deal, and they could get Freddie Peralta for $8 million, and you can sign one of the 3 players mentioned, that's a pretty formidable starting pitching rotation, Frank, and one that could get you through the trade deadline, not just to the trade deadline.
Yeah, absolutely. You're going to need help, as many arms as you possibly can. And I personally really wouldn't mind seeing Lucas Giolito. He was another one of those big names when he came up. He was supposed to be the number 2 behind Steven Strasburg in Washington, or at least that's how he was billed while he was coming up. So he's just never really found it. Spent some time with the White Sox, spent some time with Boston here recently, and he's still really young. The other name on that 7 list, the top 7 free agents, the 2 that we didn't get to, were Lucas Giolito and Chris Bassett. I wouldn't touch Bassett or Verlander with a 10-foot pole because of their age, but I would not mind at all taking a flyer on a guy like Lucas Giolito. He's still in his early 30s. I believe he's 31. He'll be turning 32, I believe, during the season. Giolito, to me, feels like a great get to round out this rotation. And as far as not having anything to give Milwaukee, we've seen over the last couple of years, guys that we don't think all that highly of as fans of the team or people that we don't know. Just because we don't think highly of them doesn't mean other organizations don't think highly of them. There are guys that are way down on the Padres' top 30 prospect list that a team like Milwaukee may see as a top 5 prospect for them. You never know. So you don't know what you have until someone's willing to pay a certain price for it. So Peralta, I think, would be stretching it a little bit, but I think the biggest get for the Padres could be Lucas Giolito. And remember, you also got Tristan McKenzie earlier this spring training as well, and he's a kid that if they can get him right, he'll slot right into the back end of that rotation very, very nicely. That was an underrated get that came on the same day they got Michael King, so it kind of got hidden a little bit. But Tristan McKenzie could turn out to be a real steal if the Padres can turn him around.
And that's where the Padres are at right now. They got to take chances on some of these guys. I mean, I agree. Like Nick Martinez has not been as good as a starter as he has been in relief, but he shoved against the Padres as a starter in that one. He almost had a no-hitter against the Padres in Cincinnati, the bandbox of a place. Those are the risks you have to take. And again, like a guy like Nick Martinez in starting rotation, you're asking to be a 5, not a 3. And then you could always move him to the bullpen. Like at least if it doesn't work out with Nick Martinez, it's not like you're hosed with him. You can move him to the bullpen. You can move things around. I think it would help. Maybe it helps solidify your roster a little bit more too. You got a lot of bullpen options that you can have. I don't necessarily know if they're going to trade from a strength to improve a weakness, but there's a lot of ongoing conversation with some of these guys. And again, they're going to have to wait and see where the market goes. And I think a lot of teams are in waiting mode right now. And as soon as pitchers and catchers are about to report, might see a handful of these pitchers get picked up because they're a lot cheaper and they're going to want to play and be employed. I like Lucas Giolito. I like Nick Martinez. I don't know about Justin Verlander at his age, for $8 to $12 million range. But all of these players, I think, would add. If you add one of those players and can trade for Freddie Peralta, now you're really in a good spot. And I think the Padres could pull off a trade for Freddie Peralta. I mean, they've made trades with the Brewers before in which they have given up not a lot and have received a bunch in return. Because I get where Fred Alexander, the chat's going. They would need a Mason Miller. They are not going to give him up for nothing, but they're not going to want Mason Miller. You're not going to be able to flip Freddie Peralta and just a year of Freddie Peralta for anybody that's like super good. The 1 year of control loses some of the luster of the asking price for Milwaukee because he's only a 1 year. Yeah, it's affordable. He's affordable at $8 million, and he's a starting pitcher, which everybody wants. But it's not going to take a haul to get a guy like Freddie Peralta at this point in time. So if you get a guy like Freddie Peralta, you sign a Lucas Giolito, you sign a Nick Martinez, and then you got, as Frank mentioned, Tristan McKenzie and JP Sears and Randy Vasquez and Matt Waldron. I mean, those are enough of those players that you can get use out of as the number 5 spot. And now you really have a rotation and a really good pitching staff going into the season. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Ken Rosenthal said something about the offense as well for the Padres. What's he got on the DH or first base front? We'll talk about that. Plus, a comment from earlier that was made about a couple of players that are still left on the free agent market that might have a link to the Padres. We'll talk about that when we continue. But first, let's take a look at traffic. Broadcasting live from the Bill House Studios. We know how. I want to mention that all guests on 97 to the Fan join us on the David P. Shapiro Fan Hotline. David P. Shapiro, criminal defense attorneys, helping good people regain control of their future when charged with a crime since 2010. Visit davidpshapirolaw.com. Did they tell us anything about the biggest fan? Which one we're doing today?
We're doing our biggest fan.
Our
today.
biggest fan.
Yes. Not the Ben and Woods biggest fan. We're doing
And we're
ours.
announcing that in the fourth hour. Did they tell us what time that they usually do theirs? Do they do theirs
Yeah,
at
they
9?
usually
Okay,
do
they do
theirs
that at 9.
Yeah.
All right. Sounds good. Remember to listen at 9 or 1. Actually, they call it at 1. I guess he's got 2 chances today, right?
Well, no, because no one's going to be here unless Stravy and them are getting ready in here.
They're not gonna. It's probably not gonna count. Remember to tune into us at 9
a.m. and only 9
a.m. today when we announce today's biggest fan. All right, a couple more things with the Padres. There's something that we got from Ken Rosenthal today that we're gonna work back to what AJ Cassavell said on Friday in his Q&A with Reddit. Now, today, Ken Rosenthal talked about the 3 pitchers that could fall into the category of what the Padres deem as affordable based on what their finances are. Nick Martinez, Lucas Giolito, and Justin Verlander. Those are the 3. Now, when talking about this, Ken Rosenthal also went on to say something a little bit more about the offense for the Padres. Not too much. He doesn't give any names. But as always, the Padres remain open to moving players off their roster for the right return. They still want to add a complementary bat, perhaps a right-handed hitting free agent to alternate with Gavin Sheets at DH, perhaps a left-handed hitter to share time with Ramon Laureano in left field. So those are potential moves for the Padres. Okay, some potential things that they're looking for. Going back to what AJ Cassavell said on Friday, he said that the Padres are viewing starting pitching as more important than offense right now, which I agree with. And then he goes on to say some bat targets for the Padres that are cheap, flexible, and platoon friendly. Cassavell explicitly identifies the profile. He talks more about right-handed hitters who mash lefties, which would go with the entire platoon first base DH option over what Ken Rosenthal said of that first, then a left-handed hitting outfielder. Names that fit, according to AJ Cassavell, Miguel Andujar and a Paul Goldschmidt, who could platoon at first base and be a DH. Other options for you via the trade, Tristan Cassis, Mark Vientos. Do the Padres spend trade capital on pitching and go cheap on bats, or trade for a bat and hope pitching emerges? Interesting to see in this particular category. We've talked about the pitching already for the Padres. Let's talk about the offense. Would you take a flyer on Paul Goldschmidt for 2026? I think that's an interesting question. I think it's something that you would have to look into for sure. Paul Goldschmidt's getting up there in age, and his production's obviously been down. He hasn't been the same player that he was in Arizona. Spent some time with the Yankees last year, and last year with the Yankees, he had a pretty decent season. A 1.2 WAR, he hit 274. He had the 403 slug, the 731 OPS. His OPS plus was 104. He's, a 4% better than what an average player is in Major League Baseball. He's 37 years old. You'd be taking a 1-year deal on this guy. I mean, he'd be another Nelson Cruz type, right? In terms of trying to get something out of an older player. But he had pretty decent production last year for the Yankees. His last year in St. Louis wasn't very good. 245 batting average, a 716 OPS. He was 100 on his OPS plus. How much, Frank, are you worried about potentially signing a Paul Goldschmidt after he plays for a Yankees team in a ballpark that's a bandbox? Do you think Paul Goldschmidt is another Matt Carpenter potential player at age 38?
Yes.
I think so too.
Absolutely. 100%. I would not, Goldschmidt would not be, he wouldn't even be an option for me. Honestly, I would be looking at, as SD activist in the chat, I would say I would be looking at a Rhys Hoskins. If you're going to pay for a first baseman, you're going to pay for a good first baseman, and you're going to, you can't nickel and dime your way into a starting lineup, and Rhys Hoskins would fit the bill of being the power hitting left-handed first baseman that the Padres need right now. That would add pop into the lineup. Lefty first baseman typically a little bit better. That's the prototype. The prototypical first baseman is lefty power hitter, and Hoskins plays right into that.
Except he's not a lefty. Rhys Hoskins is a righty power hitter.
I withdraw my objection.
Paul Goldschmidt's also righty. It's funny. Fangraphs has both of those players listed as getting a deal of the exact same. 1 year, $8 million.
Then why would you, if that is the case, why would you even be considering Paul Goldschmidt? Why would you even consider that?
I wouldn't mind Paul Goldschmidt if it came in less than $8 million. I don't know if I'd give him $8 million. Here, let me ask you this question.
But I'm saying if you have two guys that are projected to make the same amount.
I know what you're talking. I know what you're talking about. Without the Rhys Hoskins thing, I know what you're talking about. But Paul Goldschmidt, to me, I wouldn't mind Paul Goldschmidt for the right price, but at the same time, it just gives me he wasn't very good in St. Louis in his last year. He had better numbers at Yankee Stadium, and I immediately think of Matt Carpenter. Now, he's not a lefty, so it's not like he benefited from the right field nonsense at Yankee Stadium, which is Mickey Mouse. But I don't think it's a trend back in the right direction. I think it's Paul Goldschmidt playing a lot hitter-friendly ballparks in the American League East. Rhys Hoskins last year had a 237 batting average, a 332 on base, and a 416 slug. 748 OPS. He had a 108 OPS plus, 0.9 WAR. Paul Goldschmidt gives a little bit more, probably defensively, than Rhys Hoskins, but you're not looking for a sole first baseman here. Both AJ Cassavell and Ken Rosenthal have said it's more of a platoon at first base and DH than it is just a pure first baseman. So do you want the well-rounded player in Paul Goldschmidt, or do you want the more offensive player maybe in Rhys Hoskins? That being said, Goldschmidt did put up a decent amount of better numbers than Rhys did last year. But the age is a factor. Like, this is an interesting decision, I think, if the Padres were interested in both of these. But notice that AJ Cassavell mentioned Paul Goldschmidt, and he didn't mention Rhys Hoskins, which I find to be very interesting in that particular case. But let me ask you this question, because we've seen the what was the rumor from earlier? Not the rumor, but what was the conversation earlier and the assumption, because of the fact that Luis Arraez could not find a home, and that a lot of people think that he is going to end up back with the Padres, maybe for a cheaper deal than what is expected. Fangraphs has Luis Arraez at a 2-year, $28 million deal. Nobody's giving him $14 million a year. Would you rather have Luis Arraez at $6 million or Paul Goldschmidt at $8 million?
I would go with the devil you know, which is Arraez.
I'd probably lean. How much extra power are you going to get out of Goldschmidt than what you get out of Arraez? Goldschmidt had 10 home runs last year and 45 RBIs.
Who had that?
Goldschmidt.
In Yankee Stadium, he had
10 home.
He lost his job to Ben Rice. Also, he lost that first base role.
Yeah, Paul Goldschmidt played he played 146 games last year and had a 1.2 WAR.
He was mostly your DH at that time, though. He wasn't playing first base. Ben Rice was for most part of the second half of the year.
Paul Goldschmidt, look at these numbers.
You're gonna prove me wrong now again.
No, they're relatively the same. They're like the same. It's Paul Goldschmidt and Luis Arraez had the exact same WAR last year. 1.2.
Go.
Arise played in more games and had more plate appearances, but not by a ton. Arise had way more hits, obviously. He had 181 hits. Arise hit 292. Goldschmidt hit 274. On-base percentage, Goldschmidt had a higher on-base percentage than Luis Arise. Goldschmidt's base, it was by 1 point. Goldschmidt had a 328 on-base percentage. Arise had a 327. The slugging percentage, Goldschmidt 403, Arise 392. OPS, Goldschmidt 731, Arise 719. OPS plus, Goldschmidt 104, Luis Arise 99. Arise was going to be, God, this screen just constantly, like, Arise is going to be 29, Goldschmidt's going to be 38. I feel like Goldschmidt to me is just the thing that's lingering to me on this for the Paul Goldschmidt comparison is because I think Arise is probably going to be around the same money figure anyway. 1 year, $8 million seems to be the going case. Between those two, it's almost like you'd rather go with Arise because he's been here.
Yeah, the devil you know.
But I kind of like Goldschmidt better on defense. And at least with Goldschmidt, he's going to give you a little bit more pop than Arise. But the scary thing about Goldschmidt is he's 38, and I just keep thinking of Matt Carpenter.
Mm-hmm.
Because Matt Carpenter raked. Now, he was a lefty, and Matt Carpenter raked at Yankee Stadium. The half season it was, or whatever it was when he came back. He raked and resurrected his career, and the Padres gave him a 2-year deal. And then he just could not do it at Petco Park. Goldschmidt is familiar with the National League West. He played a long time in the National League West. He's got but despite the power numbers that you would get more from him than Arise, it's not a substantial amount with just 10 home runs to 8 home runs. Plus, the thing with Arise, too, and the other benefit with Arise would be Arise knows the clubhouse. He knows where he goes. He knows about the Padres. He knows about San Diego. The guys in the clubhouse love Luis Arise, but you would be doing the exact same thing as last year. You'd be bringing back the exact same lineup with no changes, relatively. The starting lineup would be the exact same it was last year. And if you are going into the season with the exact same lineup after last year, it not being good enough to make it through the wild card, I don't know how you can just keep. I don't know. Last year's team was not a team to me that was like, let's run it back.
No.
There's been teams that are like, let's run it back. 2022, let's run it back. Let's add a piece. Let's run it back. This past season wasn't one of those teams from a position player standpoint. And so now you have the exact same lineup. They're all a year older. The bullpen is strong. Probably one of the best. And your starting rotation is not as good as it was last year, at least on paper. Yeah, even though you're getting off, hopefully a healthy Michael King and Joe Musgrove back, you lost Dylan Cease. And you got Nick Pivetta. So, it's almost the exact same team you had last year if you bring back Luis Arise. I think that one's more of a comparison. I think Rhys Hoskins wins the battle of all three.
Yeah, I was going to say, so Rhys Hoskins? he's the guy?
Rhys Hoskins at 1 year, $8 million would be, to me, probably a better deal than Paul Goldschmidt. But Rhys, again, Rhys only played in 90 games last year.
I like Bo Dangerous 619's idea in the chat. I like that a lot.
No,
more.
You want to know why? Because we finally stopped paying the guy. You really want to add him back to the payroll?
Why not?
Finally stopped paying the guy. But you're looking for what was listed in this particular case. You are looking for right-handed hitters who mash lefties. And if you start looking at the splits, that might change things a little bit. When we come back, we'll talk about those splits. Again, if the Padres are looking for a right-handed bat to platoon and mash lefties, that's what you have to look at numbers-wise between Rhys Hoskins, Luis Arise, and Paul Goldschmidt. Now, Luis Arise is a lefty, so that kind of throws things through a loop a little bit. But according to AJ Cassavell, that's what he thought the Padres were looking for. According to Ken Rosenthal, they still want to add a complimentary bat, perhaps a right-handed hitting free agent to alternate with Gavin Sheets at DH/first. perhaps a left-handed hitter to share time with Ramon Laureano in left field. Based on those criteria, we'll tell you who the Padres should add when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show, Standing as Urban Sports Station 97.3 The Fan. All guests on 97 through the Fan, join us on the David P. Shapiro Fan Hotline. David P. Shapiro, criminal defense attorneys helping good people regain control of their future when charged with the crime since 2010. Visit davidpshapirolaw.com. We are broadcasting live from the Bill Howe Studios here in San Diego, California. Bill Howe, we know how. I did not play on the Bill Howe field last night at softball. Did not play on that one. Maybe next time. I should, you know what?
You should.
We should have to now at this point.
Yeah, you should throw around that. Hey,
I'm broadcasting the Bill House studio.
Yeah, exactly.
By the way, I went to the Goals game on Friday.
Attaboy.
It's a great time. Big thanks to the Goals. Had me out. Went there, had a great time. I loved, by the way, the local advertisements with characters or logos that were on the boards that were in hockey uniforms. Bill Howe, we all know the Bill Howe logo. It's up there on the screen right there on YouTube. He's like, shouting, whatever like that. It's Bill Howe. The one at Pechanga Arena on the boards, he's got a little hockey helmet on, and that front hand, he's not yelling. He's got a hockey stick in his hand.
Nice.
It's phenomenal. Soapy Joe, same thing. The Soapy Joe guy's got a hockey helmet on. He's missing a tooth, and he's got a hockey stick.
They switched to LED boards, did they not?
They do. They have LED boards.
Yeah.
Not all the NHL teams do, or the AHL teams, but they do it at Pechanga. There you go. All right. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. This is the Braden Surprenant Show. We're filling in for Ben and Woods, who are out sick today. We are usually the 10 to 2 slot. We'll be replaying this show later on at 10 o'clock in the morning to 2 o'clock. So it's either 8:40 or it's 12:40, depending on what time of the day it is. Let's talk about the offensive options for the Padres here, because according to Ken Rosenthal today, talking about the Padres still looking. He mentioned the starting pitching that the Padres could have added, and I think that's everybody's number one priority for the Padres, right? He also mentioned some bench help / platoon help / an extra bat. As always, the Padres remain open to moving players off the roster for the right return. They still want to add a complementary bat, perhaps a right-handed hitting free agent to alternate with Gavin Sheets at DH, perhaps a left-handed hitter to share time with Ramon Laureano in left field. AJ Cassavell on Friday, as part of a question and answer on Reddit, had this to say. Padres are looking for bat targets, and they're looking for right-handed hitters who mash lefties. All right, well, let's start looking at some of the right-handed hitters. We talked about Rhys Hoskins and Paul Goldschmidt. Now, the other rumor that we had, or should I say assumption in Major League Baseball, is if Luis Arraez doesn't get a deal with the team at a certain point, a lot of people in the league think that he's going to end up re-signing with the Padres if the first base spot is still available. So I've asked the question. Since Fangraphs has Paul Goldschmidt and Rhys Hoskins both listed as a one-year potential deal at around $8 million. You throw those two in with the Luis Arraez at a 1 year, $6 to $8 million. What is the best fit for the Padres based on what they're looking for? What they're looking for is a little bit more power, right? That was the case going into the offseason. The other thing they're looking for is a right-handed bat. You already have a Jake Cronenworth that can play first base, second base, whatever. He's a lefty. You already have Gavin Sheets, who's the first baseman DH that is a lefty. You don't need more lefties. If you want to add a lefty in the outfield to platoon with Ramon Laureano, sure, but that's the second on the priority. Number one is a right-handed hitting, mostly first base / DH that can platoon with Gavin Sheets at first and DH, and that smashes lefties. So here's what you have. Let's go back to the Luis Arraez, Paul Goldschmidt, Rhys Hoskins conversation. Luis Arraez is already a lefty, so let's just factor him out for this particular case. And he doesn't do well against lefties either in terms of the whole grand scheme of things. Is it poor? No, still pretty solid, but it's not as well as he does against right-handed pitchers. Rhys Hoskins and Paul Goldschmidt. With Paul Goldschmidt, you are getting an older player. You're getting a better defensive player. You're getting a player that still has a little bit left in the tank, right? And you're getting a right-handed bat at first base. You are also getting somebody that hits against lefties last year. He had 168 plate appearances in 82 games against left-handers last year, Paul Goldschmidt. Paul Goldschmidt hit 336 against left-handers last year. Hit 7 home runs. 7 of his 10 home runs came off of lefties. 14 doubles, had 17 walks to 19 strikeouts, an on-base percentage of 411. His slug was 570, and his OPS was 981 against lefties last year. That was just last year at age 37. That sounds like a right-handed bat that mashes lefties. 1 year, $8 million to get a guy like Paul Goldschmidt that is got a platoon with Gavin Sheets at first base that's only going to play against left-handed pitching. That's not a bad ad. That is the slug that you're looking for if you're the San Diego Padres, if that is the criteria you are looking for in a potential bat to pick up. I don't think the Padres are looking for a true starter every single day at first base. They are looking for, as mentioned by AJ Cassavell, a right-handed hitter that smashes lefties. And at that price, 1 year, $8 million, that might be worth the risk to bring in a guy like Paul Goldschmidt over a guy like Rhys Hoskins. Now, Rhys Hoskins is also a righty. How does he do against lefties? Are you ready for this, Frank? We will tell you after we take a quick look at traffic.
From the 855 Get Ross Traffic Center, protecting San Diego after accidents or injury, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by Covered California. Very busy ride on our freeways this morning, guys. Got a collision on South 5 Coastline, Carlsbad Village Drive off-ramp. Then up ahead near Loma Santa Fe, another crash. This one's blocking the fast lane. Watch out for some debris in the roadway as well. Crash on northbound 15 near Auto Parkway. It's over to the right shoulder. Northbound 5 before Garnett. Collision involving a couple vehicles there in the center divide. Westbound King Freeway, an accident involving car and a motorcycle. Right before Euclid. It's over the right shoulder. Up ahead, an accident cleared right before the 5. Open enrollment is here. Covered California can help you make sense of benefits, deductibles, networks, and the general confusion of it all. Enroll by January 31st. Covered California, for the love of Californians. Visit coveredca.com. I'm Kelly Danick, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Braden Surprenant show filling in for Ben and Woods as they're out sick today. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. Be sure to follow us on social media at @B_SURP at BSURP. You can follow me on Twitter and on Instagram at that handle. If I have social media, that is the handle. Frank Marchese, it's FMarks324 on social media. You can also follow the show at B_SURP show at BSURP show. We're going to be on until 10 a.m. and then you're going to hear the same show again from 10 to 2. But that's neither here nor there. Our shows, or should I say our hotline, is sponsored by David P. Shapiro. David P. Shapiro criminal defense attorneys helping good people regain control of their future when charged with a crime since 2010. Visit davidpshapirolaw.com. We, of course, are broadcasting live from the Bill House Studios. We know how. All right, let's get to Rhys Hoskins. Rhys Hoskins, not as good of a defensive player as a Paul Goldschmidt. Rhys Hoskins is a righty. Rhys Hoskins is younger. Rhys Hoskins last year against lefties, well, he hit 221. A slight difference in the 336 that Paul Goldschmidt hit. He hit 221, Rhys Hoskins did. He had 4 home runs. 8 of his home runs were against righties. 4 were against lefties. He only had 4 doubles, 14 RBIs, 731 OPS, and a 263 batting average on balls in play against left-handers. That was last year. Now, the thing with Rhys Hoskins is since he's younger, you could potentially give him a multi-year contract if you wanted to. But considering making all things considered equal, 1 year, $8 million, and you're looking for a right-handed first baseman platoon player that can smash lefties, the answer right now might be Paul Goldschmidt. Now, looking at career numbers, a little bit different. Now, Rhys Hoskins missed some time last year. He didn't play the entire season. If we're looking career numbers, Paul Goldschmidt has played in 949 games against a left-hander. He has had 1,792 at-bats. Rhys Hoskins has had 811 at-bats against lefties. Paul Goldschmidt has hit 324 in his career and way more at-bats. Rhys Hoskins has hit 382 in his career. Rhys Hoskins has hit 243 in his career against lefties. 422 on-base percentage for Paul Goldschmidt against lefties, 382 for Rhys Hoskins. A 584 slug for Paul, a 501 slug for Rhys. A 1007 OPS for Paul, and 882 OPS for Rhys. You are looking for a right-handed hitting first base DH that matches lefties, Frank. Now let me ask you the question. Who would you rather have?
Poked a lot of holes in the Rhys Hoskins argument there.
Well, the biggest hole in the Rhys Hoskins argument was forgetting that he was right-handed. But yes.
Listen, as I say often, not my week to watch Rhys Hoskins. So how was I to know, a guy who's been in the league for 6-7 years was actually a right-hander, not a lefty?
I'm going to tell you right now, I don't memorize everybody's which way they bat, which way they throw. And so you're trying to picture the guy in your head and you're like, is he a righty or lefty? And then he's like a switch hitter. It's hard to keep up with all of it. Plus, we're paying attention to Aztecs basketball, the NFL, college football. We got to know a lot here. All right. Honestly, the way that lays out, as much as Paul Goldschmidt, his numbers have decreased, he still raked against lefties last year. I know it was in Yankee Stadium. Take it for what it's worth, but he's a right-handed hitter. It's not like he benefited from the short porch in right field at Yankee Stadium. I know there's risk involved, but all things considered, if he is only going to be in to hit lefties and mix in with Gavin Sheets at first base, to me, the answer is Paul Goldschmidt over Rhys Hoskins. He's a better defender. He hits lefties extremely well, one of the best in Major League Baseball. That's a guy that I think is worth a 1-year, $8 million contract, because what you're looking for, he's it right now for the Padres.
As much as I hate to agree with you on that, I have to. If that is what you're looking for, because you think most of the time Rhys Hoskins is going to start most of the time that Paul Goldschmidt's going to start is against lefties, and he's going to come in most of the time late in games, which is more likely than not when you are going to need an elite or a better defensive first baseman.
And a good pinch hit. And you're using him as a pinch hitter, right?
Pinch hit bat against lefties. I'm sorry, I just looked up. I saw that beautiful hit that number 5 had for Indiana late in the third quarter. Yeah, that's the
Squirrel.
There you go. All right, moving on. Continue.
But yeah, I would think Paul Goldschmidt would be the guy. I think, again, for the age, I hate it, but for what he's meant to do and what his role is going to be, I think he's the guy you'd have to go with.
The other name mentioned by AJ Cassavell is Miguel Andujar.
I was a huge fan of Miguel Andujar when he came up. I would love to see Miguel Andujar here.
He's naturally a left fielder or a third baseman. Now, in terms of the outfield, it sounds like, according to Ken Rosenthal, the Padres are looking for a left-handed outfielder to platoon with Ramon Laureano, potentially. You could probably get away with the right-hander as well. Jackson Merrill does hit from the left side. So there's that. Miguel Andujar last year had a pretty good year. That's why he was traded to the Cincinnati Reds last year. He had a 0.8 total WAR. Again, Goldschmidt's defense ups it, right?
Yeah.
0.8 WAR. He played in 94 games last year, 341 plate appearances, a 318 batting average, a 352 on base, a 470 slug. He's 30 years old. He's going to be 31 this season. He has had good numbers over the last couple of years. His OPS was 822 last year. And again, like, looking at splits, last year's splits for Miguel Andujar against, because you're looking for somebody that could smash lefties, that hits from the right side, that could platoon with Gavin Sheets, because you already have Gavin Sheets. Andujar last year against lefties hit 389 with a 986 OPS in his 90 at-bats that he had with 4 home runs and 11 RBIs. Miguel Andujar is not a bad move either. Fangraphs has Miguel Andujar as a 1-year, $5 million deal.
Yeah. And
you're not going to get the same defensive spot as Paul Goldschmidt and probably less risk with Miguel Andujar. But that, to me, the conversation is exactly what AJ Cassavell put out. It's Paul Goldschmidt versus Miguel Andujar, as much as you want to rope in some other players. And I can't see this team, as much as the assumption is to bring back Luis Ariz. When you have those two options there that can fill in and platoon with Gavin Sheets, they are more valuable to this Padres team, in my opinion, than a guy like Luis Ariz.
I agree. And going back to Miguel Andujar, when he came up, he was a third baseman for the Yankees. I believe he set the rookie record for most doubles in a season in his rookie year. Hadn't really had the chance to play every single day until last year when he went to Oaklamento, and he balled out. I would love to see Miguel Andujar here to platoon with Ramon Laureano. And Fred Alexander in the chat, I 100% agree that Goldschmidt's age scares me. But if you're looking for a guy who can hit lefties, isn't going to play every day, it could be a defensive replacement late in games, he does make the most sense.
I'm curious how much money the Padres have. Could you sign a Lucas Giolito, trade for Freddie Peralta, sign Goldschmidt, and sign Andujar?
That would be an ideal
I mean,
world.
if it's a 1 year $5 million, 1 year $8 million, $8 million, and $8 million, might be a possibility. Braden Surprenant show continues.
Dick City is absolutely a place. Run that stupid game, brother.
Thank you.
Yeah,
You want a shirt?
That's so lame.
That what? Swing like this. Where's it going to go? Left or right? Yeah, I'd rather do that than hit it in a pie.
Hit a ball like that a day in my life. So
Yeah,
why
well,
should I
you know,
start now?
because it's a different sport. That's why. Here, make sure you do the pull-up.
Why don't we swing like that to hit line drives?
Huh? Just hitting, spraying it. I mean, have you seen Luis Ariz swing a stick?
Yeah, he'll swing like that.
He might do that.
He does that as his practice swing.
Your first reveal of the
10
day.
teams want to sign him. Nice piece. Nice ball, nice ball. That's a run. Tied it up. Where's my cutoff guy? That's all I gotta say. Okay, let's go.
Like this. Dick City is absolutely a place. Run that stupid game, brother.
Thank you.
Yeah,
You want a shirt?
That's so lame.
That what? Swing like this. Where's it gonna go? Left or right? Yeah, I'd rather do that than hit it in a pie.
Hit a ball like that a day in my life. So
Yeah,
why
well,
should I
you know,
start now?
because it's a different sport. That's why. Here, make sure you do the pull-up.
Why don't we swing like that to hit line drives?
Huh? Just hitting, spraying it. I mean, have you seen Luis Ariz swing a stick?
Yeah, he'll swing like that.
He might do that.
He does that as his practice swing.
Your first reveal of the
10
day.
teams want to sign him. Nice piece. Nice ball, nice ball. That's a run. Tied it up. Where's my cutoff guy? That's all I gotta say. Okay, let's go.
Like this. Dick City is absolutely a place. Run that stupid game, brother.
Thank you.
Yeah,
You want a shirt?
That's so lame.
That what? Swing like this. Where's it gonna go? Left or right? Yeah, I'd rather do that than hit it in a pie.
Hit a ball like that a day in my life. So
Yeah,
why
well,
should I
you know,
start now?
because it's a different sport. That's why. Here, make sure you do the pull-up.
Why don't we swing like that to hit line drives?
Huh? Just hitting, spraying it. I mean, have you seen Luis Ariz swing a stick?
Yeah, he'll swing like that.
He might do that.
He does that as his practice swing.
Your first reveal of the
10
day.
teams want to sign him. Nice piece. Nice ball, nice ball. That's a run. Tied it up. Where's my cutoff guy? That's all I gotta say. Okay, let's go.
Like this. Dick City is absolutely a place.
Run that stupid game, brother.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You want a shirt? That's so lame. That what? Swing like this. Where's it gonna go? Left or right?
Fucking foul it off.
Yeah, I'd rather do that than hit it in a pie.
Hit a ball like that a day in my life. So
Yeah,
why
well,
should I
you
start now?
because it's a different sport. That's why. Here, make sure you do the pull up.
Why don't we swing like that to hit line drives?
Huh? Just hitting, spraying it. I mean, have you seen Luis Ariz swing a stick?
Yeah, he don't swing like that.
He might do that.
He does that as practice swing.
10 teams want to sign him. Nice piece. Nice ball, nice ball. That's a run, tied it up. Where's my cutoff guy? That's all I gotta say. Okay, let's go. Like this. Dick City is absolutely a place.
Run that stupid game, brother.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You want a shirt? That's so lame. That what? Broadcasting live from the Bill House Studios, we know how. Frank Marchese, Braden Surprenant. We're the Braden Surprenant Show, live and locally each day from 10 to 2, as we fill in for Ben and Woods, who are out sick today. So hopefully they get back sooner rather than later. We'll be ready to go tomorrow morning if we have to. If not, we'll be on at 10 again tomorrow. Take a little bit more NFL football tomorrow. We're going to get into some other things as well. Just kind of like finish off this conversation, Frank, because we had a lot of baseball talk from the second hour into the third hour about what's going on with the Padres and other entities in Major League Baseball. And the three biggest conversations we had were the assumption from people in baseball that Luis Ariz would re-sign with the Padres if he can't find something else. Right? That was the number one. And then we talked a little bit about the pitching. We talked a little bit about the pitching at the beginning part of the second hour, where Lucas Giolito, Nick Martinez, Justin Verlander were listed, according to Ken Rosenthal, as players that could potentially fall into the 1 year, $8 million or less, $8 to $12 million range that the Padres can afford for a starting pitcher range. And we also talked about the fact that the pitching is the main priority. But then after that, this is what they're looking for in terms of DH, first base, bat. So the DH first base bat situation is, according to AJ Cassavell, who answered a lot of Q&A on Friday on Padres Reddit, said that they're looking for a right-handed hitter who can platoon at first base that matches lefties, which led us to the conversation of, as AJ Cassavell mentioned, Paul Goldschmidt, Miguel Andujar as potential pieces. We looked into Rhys Hoskins a little bit, who's a younger player. He doesn't do as well against lefties as Goldschmidt or Andujar. And then it comes to the same conversation of, yes, even if we improved our starting pitching, do we still have enough money left over to improve the hitting? And is it worth trying to improve our hitting with those particular players instead of just investing even more money into starting pitching? Most of these questions come about and get talked about in a sense of, where are the Padres in terms of finances, which we will never know. If the Padres can afford, $29 million, they could go get all four of those players that we mentioned before. They could sign a Lucas Giolito or a Nick Martinez and trade for
Freddie Peralta. They could potentially sign a Goldschmidt and a Miguel Andujar. But the question is signing a guy like Paul Goldschmidt as a platoon player, or even a Miguel Andujar as a platoon player, worth the risk when you're trying to spend as much money as possible on pitching, Frank?
I think the overarching need is pitching. That is what you need. But honestly, I mean, you asked the question just before we went to break, possibly getting Giolito, possibly getting Freddie Peralta and Miguel Andujar and Goldschmidt or Hoskins or whoever. How much did that come out to?
When I had the whole thing?
Yes.
$29 million.
That might be pushing it if you're the Padres, but if you have the capital to be able to do it, not just the money, but the prospect capital, I think that would probably be the best course of action to go through. And the last we heard about AJ Preller, I saw it on the bottom line on MLB Network last week, is that they have pans on a lot of burners right now. They just don't know which one to pick yet. They just don't know which direction that they want to go yet. So they've got options. They're just non-committal on which one that they want to go to right now. That would be an interesting option to explore, is to getting all of those guys that we've mentioned to try to round out not just the pitching staff, but to round out the roster as best as they possibly can.
It's our fourth hour, which means we got to get, you know what time it is. It's nap time.
I was going to say, yeah, especially today. I mean, normally I've been awake for 35 minutes. I'm just getting in the car now. And work is almost done.
It's time for our biggest fan. Biggest fan. Congratulations to today's biggest fan, Pedro Macedo in San Diego. Pedro Macedo in San Diego. Give us a call in the next 10 minutes at 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973, and you'll qualify for a grand prize. 20 tickets for you and your friends for a night in our Odyssey suite at a Padres game with all the fan staff later this seaseason. Catered by Spiro's Mediterranean Cuisine. Remember to register your name at 97thefan.com/biggest-fan. Pedro Macedo in San Diego, CEDO. Pedro Macedo in San Diego. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. You are today's biggest fan. Now, is it worth the risk to bring in a Paul Goldschmidt, knowing that it could potentially end up in an Nelson Cruz situation? Are you willing to take that risk? I think I am, to an extent. I don't. I'm talking myself into the Paul Goldschmidt thing. I really am. I'm talking myself into Paul Goldschmidt. You're not paying him to be an everyday player, right, who won an MVP, that carried the Diamondbacks for so many years, had a great run with the Cardinals after he was traded from Arizona. You are paying him to be a late replacement to face a left-handed bullpen arm. You are paying him to spot start against lefties. You are paying him to platoon as a DH or first baseman with Gavin Sheets. And he hasn't been too bad against left-handers. The thing is, it's funny, like Adam was talking about, like, can you guarantee me that he can continue to replicate that production against left-hand? You can't guarantee anything. You can't guarantee that anybody stays healthy the entire year. You can't guarantee that anybody's going to have the same number that they had the year before. But at some point in time, you do have to start taking risks if you're the Padres on certain areas, because of the fact that you've already spent the money in others. It's the whole thing of the salary cap in the NFL. You know, Josh Allen gets paid a hefty sum. They take the risk at not having as good receivers for Buffalo because they have a guy like Josh Allen. Joe Burrow gets paid a lot, and he gets a lot of receiver help, but they take the risk in the offensive line not being very good because they have to spread the love amongst the team. The Padres are in that sense right now too, because they have spent a large amount of money on their players. And in order to fill out the rest of the roster, you have to take some chances in spots. I mean, there's no guarantee about Nick Martinez, Lucas Giolito, or Justin Verlander either as a potential sign to help your rotation out. So it goes to the question, would you rather load up on a bunch of mediocre to solid, mediocre to good arms, or would you rather do one good arm and get that bat that you need? The thing with Nelson Cruz, he was already in his 40s by the time he rolled in here, and it was $1 million. Like, they just can't have a situation like Matt Carpenter. And the thing with Matt Carpenter was it was a very small sample size. It was the end. He got picked up by the Yankees. He went on a tear at Yankee Stadium as a lefty. Paul Goldschmidt doesn't have those type of numbers. Now, look back at last year. He had over 300 against left-handers. He dominated left-handers last year. He's dominated against left-handers in his entire career. He won. I mean, when did he win it? He won an MVP. When did he win the MVP? In 2022? Is that when he won the MVP? It had to be. He had a 7.7 WAR.
Yeah.
He won it with the Cardinals, correct?
Yeah,
that was at age 34. He hit 317. He hit 268 in age 35. Age 36, he hit 245 in St. Louis, which wasn't as good. He had a 1.3 WAR, but he still raked against lefties that year. And then last year, he hit 274. He could do a lot worse than that.
Yeah, 2022, he was an all-star and MVP and a Silver Slugger. That was the one and only time that he was an all-star as a St. Louis Cardinal. All of his prior all-stars came as a D-back.
I'm starting to talk myself into this. I really am starting to talk myself into potentially signing Paul Goldschmidt. I like the Miguel Andujar move too. I mean, if Fangraphs has been up and down a lot, like Fangraphs has Miguel Andujar as he was a 1.1 player last year. They project to be a 1.2 WAR player next year. They value him as a 1 year, $5 million deal. At age 31, Miguel Andujar, it's not bad. Now, he's not a first baseman, though. So he would be on the team to be a left fielder, right fielder, bench piece, and then fill in around the infield. I don't think you need one of those right now, though. Like, you have Bryce Johnson that could fill in. I thought Bryce Johnson did a great job, and he saves you a ton of money as a fourth outfielder. Maybe you bring in somebody else that can compete for that. But I think the outfield set, you don't need him to be a utility infielder. You already have one of those guys. You just signed him in Song. So you really need a first baseman DH, which then goes back to the Paul Goldschmidt conversation. I like him more than Rhys Hoskins, number-wise, of what you are paying him to do. The age scares and the Yankee Stadium scares, but the Yankee Stadium numbers...
Yankee Stadium wasn't Yankee Stadium. Like, you would expect a guy like Paul Goldschmidt to have like 20 home runs and 70-some-odd RBIs at Yankee Stadium. He had half that.
That benefits a lot of the lefties more than it benefits the righties.
But still, I mean, that left field porch is only 4 feet further.
They have the largest gaps in baseball, dude. Ask any Yankees fan.
No kidding.
Gap to gap hitter. Doesn't pull things down the line. Wind blows out to right, man. Come on now. I'm starting to talk myself into it. As long as you get the pitching stuff settled. I mean, Paul Goldschmidt coming off the bench for the Padres late in a game to face a lefty, you could do a lot worse. You could do a lot worse than that. I don't mind it. We got to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about what happened over the weekend for the Aztecs. Aztecs basketball is a big one. They're in sole possession of first place right now, if I'm not mistaken. We'll talk about that when we return as we get to traffic. John Harbaugh is getting introduced as the Giants' new head coach. Guy's happy as a clam.
Yeah, but even still, I mean, of course, he's getting what $20 million a year for the next 5 years to be the Giants head coach.
That's exactly why he's happy as a clam.
But like this, just his demeanor, like he's standing tall. He looks proud to have the job, which is something that we have not seen as a Giants fan. We have not seen out of our coach in years since Coughlin left.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
John Harbaugh's a good coach. The Ravens were foolish to get rid of him and thinking they're going to improve somebody else. I think the same thing about the Bills, too. I think the Bills are foolish to fire Sean McDermott. I mean, I get after a certain point you want to get to the Super Bowl, right? And you also don't want to get stuck with just mediocrity. But as of right now, I mean, who's going to do a better job than Sean McDermott? Who for Baltimore is going to do a better job than what John Harbaugh has done?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, sometimes consistency is good too. Like, it's very difficult to win a Super Bowl. You need stars to align. You need no injuries. You need to have like a lot of things working out. A lot of the times it's quarterbacks on rookie contracts. I mean, you look at the playoffs right now, Bo Nix, rookie contract. Drake May, rookie contract. And I know Bo Nix is out and Jared Stidham's going to take over, but still. Matt Stafford's getting paid, but the Rams have done a really good job of filling out the roster around him. And then, again, Sam Darnold's one of those, like, he just continues to just go to different places. Continues to go to different. And how about what the Seahawks have done, too? I mean, just they ship off guys that they know are not going to be as productive long-term just to fill the love of, like, we got to extend this guy. He played great for us. Sometimes you got to say thanks for the memories and let the guy walk. That's what the Ravens should have done with Joe Flacco after they won the Super Bowl. They put themselves in quarterback purgatory for the rest of time during his contract. But anyway,
Steelers interviewing Mike McCarthy tomorrow.
I'm sure. Oh, that's going to be just a massive upgrade, isn't it? Massive upgrade.
Oh, massive for sure.
Easy.
Hey, as a recovering fat guy, I can make those jokes.
Okay. Sounds good.
You can't.
He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. We're the Braden Surprenant Show, live and local each every day from 10 to 2, filling in for Ben and Woods today, who are out sick. Let's get to some Aztec basketball over the weekend. San Diego State had a thriller against New Mexico in a game that they absolutely needed to win, as they now improve to 7-0 in the Mountain West Conference. They are alone in first place. A sold-out Viejas Arena delivered exactly the kind of chaos the Mountain West is known for. San Diego State was able to beat, well, kind of San Diego. New Mexico's roster and staff loaded with San Diego ties, but the Aztecs protected the home court. They blew a 15-point second-half lead in this game. They trailed by 2 inside the final minute. They still found a way, in a classic Dutcher-era toughness, to grind out a game against New Mexico in what was a game they absolutely had to win. That was a must-win game for San Diego State. They had to win that game. Absolutely had to win that game in the grand scheme of things, of continuing to increase their stack to try to make the NCAA tournament without having to win the Mountain West tournament. They are now 46 in the net rankings, which gives them a top 50 spot. They're in a really good place right now, and they got to continue that. Good win against New Mexico. That's a top 40 team in the net. You're going to get a quad 2 win for that game. You hope New Mexico can play their way into the top 30 so you can get an extra quad 1 game in there. But San Diego State, huge win over New Mexico on Saturday. I think you're starting to see their defense play out. I think you're starting to see them gel as a team. I mean, Miles Byrd on Saturday was great. He had 3 steals near the end of the game after a Lobos timeout. BJ Davis, moments after a costly turnover, banked in a clutch jumper with 11 seconds left. New Mexico's final look missed. San Diego State iced it at the line. Miles Byrd back. 21 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals, 4 blocks, stuffed the box score, and controlled the game late, really symbolized San Diego State's edge in effort and disruption. Balanced scoring attack again for the Aztecs. They have multiple players that can score. Miles Bird had 21. Farrell Compton had 12. Taj DeGorville had 11. Reese Dixon Waters had 10. San Diego State shot 49.1% and won the free throw margin. That's the biggest thing, is they were actually able to make free throws late in that game. They also, Heidi had a huge dunk in that game, late in the game. Poster dunk. San Diego State really starting to hit their groove. And to be honest with you, with the start of the season that San Diego State had in the non-conference, this 7-0 start, Frank, is incredibly impressive.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've said it on our show in our time slot all season long that San Diego State is getting no help being in this conference. The only thing that they can do to help elevate themselves above this conference to get themselves to where the Mountain West could possibly be a multi-bid conference if they don't win the conference is to go on a run like this. They were going to need to prove that, hey, we are the best team in the Mountain West Conference. And right now they're doing exactly that. Even going on the road to Nevada, I believe, earlier on, and winning. They've had a lot of their impressive wins so far in this conference schedule come on the road. Now, the flip side is you have the reverse fixture coming up towards the back end, and you're going to need to take care of business at home. But this 7-0 start is exactly what San Diego State needed, especially with the non-conference start that they had.
With the win for San Diego State, Joe Lunardi just put out his latest bracketology. San Diego State basketball is one of now 3 bids for the Mountain West Conference.
Good.
He's got him in as an at-large, and he's got him in not only as like a last 4 in, he's got him in like before the last 4 buys. I mean, he's got him jumped up. And so as of right now, according to Joe Lunardi's bracketology, and again, just kind of a preview for you, it's going to change 1,000 times. Aztecs as the 11th seed, potentially playing Louisville and St. Louis, Vanderbilt and Wright State, the other 2 teams in that little small bracket. But the fact that the Aztecs went from a next 4 out to jump into the field, that's how big of a win that was for the Aztecs over New Mexico. Quad 2 win, but still huge for San Diego State. And they're going to have to, again, continue the push here during the conference play. This game on Wednesday is going to be a very difficult game for San Diego State going against Grand Canyon, who, by the way, just knocked off Utah State at home. Utah State was the other undefeated team in the Mountain West Conference. They are a team that's 21 in the net. That is a quad 1 game both at home and on the road as Utah State. They went to Grand Canyon and lost. Grand Canyon is a tough opponent that if you lose, it's going to hurt you in the rankings. But if you win, it's not really going to increase your numbers too much. So kind of, I wouldn't say a trap game. I know Brian Dutcher and company understand how difficult it is to play at Grand Canyon. They've done it before. It's going to be a tough game on Wednesday, but that's a game that San Diego State, again, is going to have to win. There's a couple other matchups in here that are not must win, but if they can get the win at Grand Canyon, that really puts them in the driver's seat for the Mountain West Conference, not only potentially getting the 1 seed in the tournament, but also being a favorite to make the NCAA tournament without having to win the Mountain West tournament, Frank.
Yeah, and you're going to learn a lot about Grand Canyon. It's their first year in the Mountain West, so this is your first time playing them as a conference opponent, and next time will be the last time as you guys are on your way to the Pac-12.
Power Act-12.
Power Act-12, yes. Thank you for correcting me.
You're welcome.
So there's not a lot of familiarity there, which you could make the case is what tripped up Utah State. So you cannot overlook this opponent. Sure, we're only going to play them twice. It's not a great team, but the Lopes are sneaky. They can come up and bite you, and if given the opportunity, as we just saw on Saturday night, they will.
Antelopes right now are ranked as a. I gotta go find. I had it and then I lost it because this is
a quad 3 game. No,
is it a quad? It is a quad 3.
So.
Yeah, because they're ranked 91 in the net. It is on the road though.
Bless you.
91 in the net. That would be as a road game. That is a quad 2 game.
Okay.
So they'd get another quad 2 win potentially. Nevada has stayed in a quad 1 game. So the Aztecs do have a quad 1 win, that road win at Nevada. They have opportunities now in the future. Utah State, I don't think is going to drop too much in the rankings after this. They're going to be 2 opportunities to get quad 1 games, one at Utah State and one at home against Utah State here at Viejas Arena. So those are factors as well. There'll be a couple other quad 1 games mixed in on the road, but this is a very difficult quad 2 game for the Aztecs coming up on Saturday. If you look at their overall metrics, they're 46 in the net right now. Their strength of schedule in the net is a 70. Their non-conference strength of schedule is a 39. Very good for San Diego State. RPI strength of schedule is 31. Non-conference strength of schedule is 9. Division 1 record, they're 12-4 on the year, and the road record is 3-0. 1-3 in quad 1, 2-0 in quad 2, 4-1 in quad 3, and a perfect 5-0 in quad 4. It's a big reason why they have jumped into Joe Lunardi's bracketology. Other things that you need to pay attention to: San Diego is hosting the first 2 rounds of the NCAA tournament at Viejas Arena this year. San Diego State is ineligible to play in those games. You're not allowed to play in a home site, so they will not be here. But as of right now, Joe Lunardi has Arizona coming. I almost fully guarantee you Arizona is going to be here.
Yeah, that's
because they're not going to lose, and if they do lose, they're not dropping out of a 1 or a 2 seed. As long as Arizona gets a top 4 seed, which means finishing in the top 16, they're going to be coming to San Diego because that's the closest spot that they have. So almost guarantee you that Arizona is going to be here. So you Wildcat fans out there that are, alumni.
Where's Wilbur?
Yeah, where's Wilbur? He's waiting for 10 o'clock probably. They'll be here. Now, an interesting matchup, though. Arizona Navy snuck in as a 16. Navy and San Diego would be sick.
That'd be huge, yeah.
For college basketball. The other 2 matchups would be Utah. The other 2 teams would be Utah State and St. Mary's in that particular region, which would be a heck of a basketball game. Mm-hmm. St. Mary's, obviously in the West Coast Conference, comes to San Diego every year to play USD. Utah State in San Diego State's conference comes down here and plays the Aztecs every single year. So some familiarity coming to San Diego in that one. The other one was Arkansas. There are Kansas in basketball, Arkansas in football, Arkansas in basketball, hosting Utah Valley, or playing Utah Valley, and Texas Tech playing Hawaii was the other San Diego deal. Obviously for UCSD and USD, a little bit different. Real quick to talk about the Toreros and the Tritons from over the weekend. Tritons were able to beat up on Cal State Bakersfield 83-62. You heard that game right here on 97.3 The Fan. They improved to 14-5 overall, 4-3 in the Big West. Another solid conference win. Never really felt in doubt. Leo Beath set the tone, 20 points, 9 rebounds, controlled the game inside and on the glass. Clear focal point offensively when UCSD needed a bucket. Triton's attack was very balanced. Alex Chaikin chipped in 14 points. He knocked down 4 threes. UCSD got production across the lineup rather than leading on 1 score. With the win, Triton's now 4-3. They're trying to battle their way up to the Big West, which is a down Big West this year. But it's a very competitive Big West conference for UCSD. This won't be their final year in the Big West, but it will be near the end because they are moving to the West Coast Conference soon. And speaking of the West Coast Conference, USD, I called this game on Saturday. They beat up on Bethesda 113-67. Bethesda's a non-D1 opponent. It's a bye game, middle of conference season. The cool thing about this game, there's a couple things. So Tim Moore Jr., who is a grad transfer, he set a career high 32 points. He also had 25 points in the first half, which was more than any Torero this season in a game. And Tyler Johnson scored like 23 points multiple times this year for USD. Tim Moore Jr. had 25 in the first half, 32 to finish the game, which is up top 10 in most points scored by a Torero in a game. But again, 25 points by halftime. Tenari Lane had 17 points, including 5 from 9 from 3. He ties the most threes made in a game this season for USD. led the second half surge with 12 points. Dominic Ford had 12 points and 7 rebounds. The biggest one, though, and this is the best part about this entire game against Bethesda, it was just, not that competitive, right? Because they're non-D1. Hassan Diop for USD.
Bless you.
Yes, Hassan Diop. Hassan Diop, who has gotten a little bit more playing time as of late. He was a bench piece at the beginning of the season for USD. He's got a little bit more playing time as of late. Hassan Diop, he had a triple-double on Saturday.
Nice.
Which is impressive. Now, here's the thing. He already had the points, and he already had the rebounds. He was 2 assists away from getting the triple-double with like 2 minutes to go.
Mm-hmm.
And so they put him at point guard. He's not a point guard. He's a forward. They put him at point guard. He's passing the ball, and he is screaming at guys to shoot. Shoot it. Shoot it. And for some reason, everybody in the arena, the broadcast, all of the bench players for USD, everybody on the bench, all the coaches, knew the situation except for the 4 players that were playing with Diop during the game. He passed it down to Vinkowski, who was the postman, and he looked, I'm going to dish it back out. And they're like, and he's, shoot it. Vinkowski had one look, and this is the final 2 minutes. He had one look. He goes up for a shot. He misses a clean layup short on the rim. And Diop, went surrender cobra. He couldn't believe it. He was so frustrated. Then it came to a point, it's under a minute, he's got one more assist he needs. He ends up getting an assist because he dished it out to Josh Heck. Heck hit a 3. Never seen Diop that excited. Diop then after that kicks, they're passing the ball around. There's 50 seconds left. The entire bench has stood up and is screaming, shoot. And if they pass somebody else, they had to work it back to Diop. And they finally get it. And the guy hits a layup. Aviles hits a layup. And the entire bench erupts like they hit a game-winning shot. Up 113 to 60, whatever it was, for the triple-double for Hassan Diop. That's one of the coolest things I saw all weekend. That game, going into the game, I'm like, why are they playing this game? NFL playoffs are competing against it. It's against Bethesda. It's just what? That's what you love about college sports.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what you love about college sports. So it was fun over the weekend. That's your local college basketball update. Aztecs have a game on Wednesday against Grand Canyon.
That'd be tomorrow.
Oh, that's tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow. Coming up on Wednesday, tomorrow.
USD
is in action tomorrow against Washington State. I'll be in attendance for that one. And when do the Tritons play? Thursday? Big West usually does Thursday, Saturday.
Yeah, I believe so, yeah.
They got a game on Thursday. So we'll talk more about that as the week goes on. We got to take a quick break. When we come back, final segment of the Braden Surprenant Show. We'll talk a little bit about what happened over the NFL weekend to finish up the show on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Bet tonight.
Not a bad idea.
That I'll have more hits than you.
Let's do it right now.
How much you want to bet?
We'll do $5.
Oh God!
Oh, it hits the ball in the air. Oh, sick, dude. What a great leadoff! What a great leadoff!
Yeah. You want to be mic'd up?
Oh. No, Rick. There's the Joel we know. Well, you're lucky I'm a huge target at first, dude.
Someone gassed.
Shell's got to get us in, though. We're screwed next at bat. That's not great.
Yeah, all right. Yeah,
Zion. Are you? That is the saddest thing. Are you insane? That is sad. No confidence.
You better get a hit now.
It's like Moneyball. He's got no confidence. Ugly girlfriend.
Come on, Sam.
Oh, hose him!
Oh, we got it. Can we get a first baseman that can catch? One time, Matt.
Nice. All right. Glasses on too. That's why.
Oh, damn it. Can we score some runs? Play first base. All of a sudden, it's locked down.
Who bats after Q?
I think it's the other team.
Go! Go! Go!
Show Braden how to run home.
Oh, damn it. Got onto that bat.
Hey, the Surprenant suck.
Come on,
I
Cello.
can play cello.
Oh, look at the throw.
Oh my God.
Oh, pick me, dude. You can't see it. It sucks.
I can't see anything.
Oh, I crawled back. Did you ask him to buy you a beer after that?
Hey,
Got us beer, dude.
out there, dude. Are you serious right now?
He does.
Dude, yeah, Ethan, seriously, dude.
I know. Hey, Ethan, sit next one. You don't boo nobodies. That's what I'm hearing.
Get out of here. Get out of here. Nice ball, Matt. Nice job.
I'm the best.
Hey, good job. Hey, we won. Nice job. Good job.
Good game, guys. Good game.
That big guy's going.
Good game. Where do you want me to sign, sir?
Like where you're always.
Don't set the Fox.
No, nobody makes me sign. But I'll whatever you need for your kids or whatever, like sign ball or anything. Let me know.
You're all over it.
Bet tonight.
Not a bad idea.
That I'll have more hits than you.
Let's do it right now.
How much you want to bet?
We'll do $5.
Oh God!
Oh, it hits ball in the air. Oh, sick, dude. What a great leadoff! What a great leadoff!
Yeah. You want to be mic'd up?
Oh.
No, Rick.
There's the Joel we know. Well, you're lucky I'm a huge target at first, dude.
Someone gassed.
Chel's got to get us in, though. We're screwed next at bat. That's not great.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, all right.
Zion. Are you? That is the saddest thing. Are you insane? That is sad. No confidence.
Ethan, you better get a hit
Yeah, it's
now.
like Moneyball. He's got no confidence, ugly girlfriend.
Come on, Sam.
Oh, hose him!
Oh, we got it. Can we get a first baseman I can catch? One time, Matt. Nice. All right.
Glasses on too, that's why.
Oh, damn it. Can we score some runs? Play first base. All of a sudden, it's locked down.
Who bats after Q?
I think it's the other team.
Go!
Go!
Show Braden how to run home.
Oh, damn it. Got onto that bat.
Hey, the Surprenant suck.
Come on,
I
Cello.
can play cello.
Oh, look at the throw.
Oh my God.
Oh, pick me, dude. Final segment, the Braden Surprenant Show, filled in for Ben and Woods on San Diego's number one sports station, 97.3. The Fan had a big weekend in the NFL. Fun weekend in the NFL. One of our boy Sam went to the Bills-Broncos game. Heck of a game, but that was probably a rough exit in a Bills jersey. I will say that. Did he catch the ball? Did he not catch the ball? Why do we have to ask this question every playoff game? Why can the NFL not figure out what a catch is? The NFL over the weekend was great. That game, the Broncos-Bills game was arguably the best game of the weekend.
That's fair.
Bears-Rams was pretty close. I'm going to say this. Broncos-Bills was the best game of the weekend until overtime, where the NFL absolutely ruined the entire game. The lack of PI calls, the overuse of PI calls, the phantom interception thing
that we've seen in the NFL like 14 times this season. In fact, it actually benefited the Bills against the Patriots a couple of weeks prior to that. But they had such a great game ruined by what was just awful officiating in the final minutes of overtime. I mean, absolutely awful officiating. I don't care who wins these games. I really don't. I don't have any rooting interest anymore after the Chargers left. I kind of rep the Cowboys, but not really. If they win, cool. If they lose, I don't really care. But that Bills-Broncos game was just frustrating to watch the finish because of how many times in the NFL are we going to reward a lob pass that's not even close to a receiver with a pass interference? I mean, the Tom Brady lob BS. Really? Are we going to continue to do that? That rule needs to be changed. The other thing that needs to be changed about that rule is since we hand out so many PIs at that point, I'm done with the whole conversation of, spot foul. Forget that. Make it 15 yards like it's supposed to be, and let's move on. Because some of this stuff is ridiculous. I mean, speeding up the game, like a couple of PI calls to speed up the game is a joke. I can't believe the NFL even was close to admitting that. Saying the quiet part out loud. We're going to recap the whole NFL weekend, but first we do got to take our final look at traffic.
From the 855 Get Ross Traffic Center, protecting San Diego after accidents or injury, here's Kelly Danick.
Well, I'm thinking northbound 805 wins the prize for biggest headaches this morning. Got an overturned crash just before H Street, blocking the two right lanes. Up ahead, a crash cleared just before Plaza Boulevard. Westbound King Freeway, an accident just before Spring Street. That's being cleared over to the right shoulder. Northbound side of the 15 before Friars Road. A collision. No details as to whether that is blocking any lanes. Westbound 52 just before the 163. Watch out for some sort of debris in the two left lanes. I'm Kelly Danick, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Frank Marchese, I'm Braden Surprenant. We're the Braden Surprenant Show, live and local each every day from 10 to 2 on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. We will be coming up next at 10 o'clock. Gwen and Chris will be coming up next at 2. The best way I can phrase that.
Yeah, pretty much.
For this particular deal. Fire up the music. Let's talk a little NFL football from over the weekend. We talked briefly about the terrible officiating from the Bills and Broncos game. That being said, Buffalo turned the ball over 5 times in that game. Still had a position to win. Broncos get the Bills 33-30 in overtime. They knock off Josh Allen. They punch a ticket to the AFC Championship game. And with that, they're going to have to try to do it without their starting quarterback, Bo Nix. Bo Nix broke his right ankle
on the kneel down,
trying to run out the clock before the kneel down at the end of the game of overtime. Game at that point was already in hand.
Last play, he was on the field.
Breaks his ankle. He's out for the remainder of the year. Jarrett Stidham now takes over at quarterback. He had 1 snap all season. He's got 4 career starts. He's got 1 win. Sean Payton's like, Stiddy's ready. Watch out. We'll see about that. We'll see about that. I thought the Broncos defense played really well. I thought the Bills offense was just, to me, the Bills need to add receivers this offseason. I'm not a huge receiver person, but when you got a guy like Josh Allen and he's out there by himself, he needs a little bit more help. Improve the defense, improve the receivers, get a better roster out there for Buffalo. I know you're relying on Josh Allen. You got to give him a little bit of help. But he turned the ball over 4 times. He can't do that. He got his coach fired. Firing Sean McDermott, we're going to talk more about the coaching carousel tomorrow on the show. I think that was a stupid move by Buffalo.
Agreed.
The roster is incomplete. You do not have a complete roster. The roster has so many holes in it. And yet you fire the head coach and then you promote the general manager. What are they doing in Buffalo? The officiating in the final minutes were rough in that game. I thought it was embarrassing for the NFL. But the reality was that game shouldn't have been close to begin with. Could you imagine if Buffalo just held on to the football? They're probably walking out of there with a regulation win. Instead, they lose in overtime. The head coach gets fired. Hang on to the rock. Broncos right now in the AFC Championship game are going to have to heavily rely on their defense and hope Jarrett Stidham doesn't screw it up against the Patriots. On to the next game, which was a blowout, Frank.
Yeah, it was. It was the Oh, we're going with the okay.
That was the next game.
Yeah,
of the
we're
day,
going
right?
in order. I have it as AFC, NFC
That's fine.
together. San Francisco 49ers did not know that they were playing on Saturday night. And if they did, boy, oh boy, did they not get ready for it. Seattle Seahawks beating the Niners 41-6, punching their ticket to the NFC Championship game. Game flips instantly. Rashid Shaheed taking the opening kickoff 95 yards for a touchdown. Seahawks lead 7-0 just 13 seconds in. Kenneth Walker III dominates with 3 rushing touchdowns, tying Sean Alexander for most playoff touchdowns in franchise history. Sam Darnold, his first career playoff win in his first season with Seattle, went 12 for 17, 124 yards, 1 touchdown, no turnovers. Touchdown connection goes to Jackson Smith
Jigba.
Thank you. In the receivers playoff debut, Seattle's defense overwhelming San Francisco, interception, multiple forced fumbles, consistent pressure, and Brock Purdy was not good.
He's not good. I've been saying this for the last 3 or 4 years. He has been the benefit of the talent surrounding him. He has had arguably one of the best rosters in football. And each increasing year, the roster's been falling off because why? They had to pay Brock Purdy. They decided to pay Brock Purdy. They should have done what Seattle did and just let the guy walk or trade him. Seattle's done that twice now. They traded away Russell Wilson, who was the benefit of his team in Seattle. Huge trade for Seattle as they fleeced the Broncos. They did the same thing with Geno Smith. Thanks for the memories. And they moved on. The Niners decided to sign Brock Purdy to a long-term extension, and now the team is crumbling around him. Now, there was injuries involved. I know that was the case. Talk about the electromagnetic fields that they have next to the fields. That is a major problem towards your tissue and your soft tissue. That's a different topic for a different day. But this is how I evaluate quarterbacks. If it comes down to just you and you have to help carry your team, you're elite if you could still win despite what's around you. If you turn into all of a sudden pedestrian, it's the benefit of the team around you.
Yeah. And they had Christian McCaffrey and Kittle a couple weeks ago, and they got destroyed by Seattle in Seattle. So I really don't think the injuries meant a thing because Seattle is just that much better than San Francisco, and they proved it a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, like people are like, well, if they had Fred Warner, they'd still get their ass kicked. They were not. I know they were decimated by injuries, but Brock Purdy is not it. He hasn't been it. He's not it. He got exposed, and they got smoked by a Seattle team that's just way better and way deeper. We got to go quicker now.
Absolutely.
Sunday's games.
Houston Texans falling to the New England Patriots in New England, 28-16. This game was a lot closer than I thought it was going to be. I thought the Patriots are going to be a little bit more convincing. Vrabel's first season.
Not with the Texans defense. Texans defense is badass. Unfortunately, CJ Stroud looked like he had money in the game. That's how bad he played. He was a turnover machine.
Yeah, he was really bad.
Colorblind.
4 picks.
I mean, I know the Patriots and Texans have red, white, and blue colors, but like colorblind. He was awful. Trying to find what happened to CJ Stroud after the first year. First year, he's legit. And then the entire league figured him out, and now he's just been absolute bleep for the last 2 years.
It's a 13-game winning streak. It has to come to an end at some point. And that was...
They turned the ball over. You can't turn the ball over.
Mm-hmm.
You can't turn the ball over.
Final game of the weekend. We got a minute left in the show. The LA Rams beating the Chicago Bears 20-17 in overtime. I told you this was going to be a heart attack game. And again, Caleb Williams does the thing on 4th down in the 4th quarter.
That was pure luck.
Oh, period. Yeah,
that wasn't
absolutely.
Even close to being like, oh, look how good Caleb Williams is. I mean, that was Caleb Williams in college. Let me just run around and huck it somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what the secondary was doing for the Rams. I don't know what the corner was doing. And I don't think the safety knew either because he looked at him like, what was that? But the better team prevailed. The Rams are one of the best teams in football, and they're now 1 game away from going to the Super Bowl. And to be honest with you, Seattle and LA is really, to me, the Super Bowl. Those are the best 2 teams left.
Yeah.
Especially with the fact that Bo Nix is out. I mean, I thought the Broncos were okay. The Broncos benefited from Josh Allen being a turnover machine as well. So from that perspective, like I still think the Broncos are just They're really relying on the defense. Defense has been great.
What is it now? 15 straight years the AFC Championship game has had the Chiefs or Patriots in it. That's wild.
It's possible, yeah. I guess. I mean, the Patriots, Drake Mays look good, but
yeah.
We'll talk more about the NFL tomorrow. We'll talk Aztecs basketball tomorrow as they have a game at Grand Canyon. We'll talk more Padres baseball. Got a lot to get to on the Braden Surprenant Show. We will see you guys all tomorrow. For Frank Marchese, I'm Braden Surprenant signing off. San Diego Summer Sports Station, 97 through the Fan.